Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, how's it going? Tom and Ed show back again. How you been, Tommy?
I'm doing good. I got my old friend Pepsi with me, you know.
You love Pepsi.
Oh yeah. And you know what else I like? I like honey. Make
Honey,
honey great again.
is that empty?
It's a Donald Trump honey thing. I don't know. Somebody got it for me for Christmas, and assumed I'm a Trump fan, and I get a kick out of it,
He's got
honestly.
a line of honey?
Yeah, yeah. This is honey, and like since I'm a singer, every now and then I just go, and
Wait,
just
does
like,
it say make honey great again on it?
yeah, yeah. Says, see, it's
That's
backwards.
so fucking silly.
MakeHoneyGreatAgain.com. Yeah. I think actually, my
I
mother-in-law
didn't know
got
there
it
was
for me.
anything wrong with honey. I didn't know that it needed,
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, I know.
like, have we been complaining about honey? Like,
Yeah, we're just gonna assume that we're not saying anything bad about honey, but we are saying that we're gonna make it great like it used to be. Yeah.
yeah, has honey taken a hit over the years?
No, I think it says on here ultra maga honey too. And
What the fuck? That's so crazy.
I think it's ridiculous too, but I get a kick out of it. I think it's
That's Yeah,
funny.
I guess it's like a good kind of joke gift.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we live in I'm in Florida, man. So down
Yeah,
here, it's
that's
like
true.
this is Trump country down here. You still got people driving around with Trump flags, and they
Yeah,
got
it's still
stickers that say
2016 to them.
impeach Camel Toe Harris, and you wouldn't believe this. Like,
Jesus Christ.
yeah, impeach them and impeach Joe the Hoe. Like, these are bumper stickers down here. Like, it's ridiculous. We're like,
I don't
it's
know, maybe it's
Florida,
the
but
heat
it's
or
more like
something.
it's like the Wild West down here. It's nuts. But
Yeah,
all
that
right,
is nuts.
anyway, totally beside the point. Uh,
Yeah,
we were going to talk about video games here and newer movies and shows today. And
yeah,
somebody had requested that we talk about Mass Effect, and I think we could do
yeah.
a whole show on Mass Effect sometime when we're a little bit more prepared. I think I'd like to be prepared to do it because there's a lot about that's going
Yeah,
to
I
make
think
a
that
refreshing.
was requested by my friend Pedro, who I know from Twitter. He's a friend of mine. He's a good dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I
I
think
like
that
him a
was a
lot.
really insightful suggestion because that's one of my favorite sci-fi stories, and
Yeah,
standalone sci-fi stories also. And I
yeah,
feel
I
like
know.
that's one of the franchise. I'll talk about this a little bit before we get into it. Is like I'd love to see it adapted into a streaming service show, like by
Yeah,
Amazon or Netflix or somebody that were able that to fund that kind of project. But I would not want to see what happened to a couple of shows like there was a show called The Legend of the Seeker, which oh man,
right. I've heard of
don't
that
get
show. Yeah,
don't get me started on that, man, because that is based off one of my favorite book series, and then Disney took it, and Disney totally just butt pounded it, and just made it into a TV and softened the story and kind of they just watered it down so much that and even the show wasn't bad, but the books were so much better that I don't want that happening to Mass Effect, and
yeah,
that's kind of the feeling that I get would happen if somebody got their
yeah.
hands on
It's
it.
hard to imagine it because I want it to happen, but I don't know if it would be good because
I know.
I think it
Thinking the
would be
Prince of
watered
Persia
down a little
movie,
bit because the
or
world is so good.
yeah.
The world of Mass Effect is so fleshed out and it's so
That's why
amazing.
I think it'd be so hard to transfer to film, like they'd have to get that aspect really right, to create
Yeah,
that grand, universe that they really created in the games. I, I, I
yeah,
don't, I don't see many movies that capture that kind of scope besides like Avatar,
yeah.
like, but
And
yeah, either way, I would love, love, love to see that turned into a movie, getting started on the
yeah, I
video.
would love it too,
Stuff.
just to have more of it,
Yeah,
because it feels like we don't have enough Mass Effect in our lives.
I know. I read all
Uh,
the books too. I read the
yeah,
books.
me too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the books about the captain,
Yeah.
Captain
Captain
Jamie Cooper.
Anderson. Yeah.
Yeah, he was awesome, man. I
It
really,
was great. I liked getting Saren's backstory too.
yeah, I bet
Seeing more of that.
that would make an awesome movie right there.
Yeah.
That story, that first book written by Drew
Yeah.
Karpyshyn. How
Yeah.
do you say
I
it?
don't know,
I
but
just
he's
try
a
to sound it
brilliant
out
writer.
like
He
I
really
do.
is.
It's like an alien name in one of the Star Wars books that you just like, it's like spelled
He's
with an
like one of
X
his
at the
own
beginning. I'm like,
characters.
Vigo? Okay, I'll just skip that every fucking time I read it. Like I'm not gonna be able to read that one. But yeah, no, that's kind of the way I go with that.
He's
Drew
actually writing a
Karpyshyn.
new video game that's coming out next year, or
Really?
maybe not next year, but 2 years, I think.
What's it called?
It's called Exodus. It's a sci-fi game, and
Nice.
it reminds me of Mass Effect,
Hell
you know,
yeah.
and it
Well,
might actually be
okay.
better than Mass Effect 5, which is coming out probably within the next 4 or 5 years.
Well, that's new, like normally we talk about topics that we already are familiar with. That's nice to get a tidbit of new news. Exodus, it's called.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I hope it's awesome.
Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, I wrote that down. I'm gonna look that up later when we finish.
Yeah,
But
definitely. I think there's a trailer for it, so check it out.
nice. Yeah, I will. I've been getting into to segue into the video game conversation. I play Xbox. I'm Brown Clown 44402 on
Yeah,
Xbox, and I've changed my name several times, but I'm Brown Clown because of the song. You ever heard "Long Cool Woman in a Black Dress"? And
yeah, yeah.
Saturday night, I was downtown working
Right.
for the
So
FBI.
you just switched it to Brown Clown?
Yeah, when I would sing it live, I would say, Saturday night, I'm a brown clown working for the FBI. And I'd squeeze it in live shows, like,
But it's like only you understand that reference.
yeah, well, everybody would kind of get it at the show, they'd be like, did he just say brown clown? Yeah. And then they kind
Yeah.
of just go back to what they're doing and forget about it,
It it's like one of those lyrics where you don't exactly know what they said. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, they'd be like, did I just hear that? And I every now and then I throw like a little, an F word in there just to give it
yeah,
the
it's like blinded by the light with everyone says douche and nobody really knows what
act
the
up
fuck.
like a douche, another boner in the night. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
no one
love that song. That song is originally written by Bruce Springsteen, and it's one of
really.
his number one hits. And it's one of his number one hits that he didn't fucking perform because he also has a
Yeah, he's
number
got a
one
few of
hit.
those, right?
Yeah, yeah, with Patti Smith, Because the Night was also a
That's
huge hit.
right. He does have a version of that though, right?
Yeah, yeah. I was
Yeah.
surprised because I didn't know it was him until I saw him live in concert and he did it. And I was like, oh crap, this
That's
is a
funny.
great song. Yeah, I'm like, I like this better than most of the Bruce songs. But all right, back to the video games. I've been playing Baldur's Gate on
Yeah,
Xbox.
me too.
And yeah, because of you, I got into it. And yeah, I've been enjoying it, but it's a real it's refreshing. It's a real refreshing change of pace. Like it took a
Yeah.
lot to get into for me in the beginning, and now it's more it reminds me of like a board game almost, like I'm
Yeah.
sitting around for half an hour to 45 minutes a mission,
Yeah, because it's
and
turn-based. So it's like,
oh man, I got stuck in accidentally in turn-based mode. I turned it into that, like when I was just trying to run out of a house on fire. And man, it was so stupid. Like I could only move like 5 feet at a time, and then I had to end turn, and I
you
kept getting
can turn it
burned.
off if you
Oh, it was
want.
so dumb. Like, yeah, but either way, I figured out how to turn that off. But yeah, I've been having a good time with the game. I made a pretty ridiculous character. I think my first guy was Elvis 2. He was like a sequel of Elvis, but he had blue and purple hair, and he's like an alien guy with magic powers. So he's nothing like Elvis. But my other guy, trying to remember his name. I made a new one, and he's better because every time you join another player's game, it makes you create a new freaking character. Like,
Yeah, we had that problem.
yeah, I don't understand. That's one aspect that really is making it a little bit of a pitfall.
Yeah,
Like I'm
it
I'm having
it
to.
kind of makes sense though, because if you were to go back to your original game, you'd be a higher level than you should be.
and you'd be in that world with all those
Right.
missions, and that progress. So that
Yeah.
does make sense. But it's new to me in the fact that it's making you create like a character that from scratch that you can level up to the person's level, that's already there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I made a paladin character that's a
Yeah.
little, and he's so much tougher, and he's got heals, and like he's basically a tank.
Yeah, I
So
wanted to be a paladin. It was between that and the barbarian, and I went with the barbarian because I usually go with barbarians.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Because of Conan. You can't not go with the
yeah,
barbarian.
exactly. Because of Conan, and
You
I
just
just like to
cycle on
smash
around
shit.
and you hit people with your big sword and you go yabba yabba yabba.
Yeah, and it's a really complex game.
Yeah,
So I thought barbarian might be a little bit more straightforward than some of the
might
other.
simplify shit a little bit.
Yeah,
That's how I felt the first time I played Diablo. I
right,
played Diablo and I picked the barbarian, and really it was a little too simple for me. So the next time I picked the witch doctor in Diablo
right.
3, and he threw frogs at people and stuff, man. Like he did weird things, and I was like, this guy's awesome. Like,
Wait,
why is he throwing frogs?
was that a druid or no?
No, no, it was in Diablo 3, the witch doctor.
Oh, okay.
It
Yeah,
was like
okay.
a druid. The druid's
Yeah,
almost like he kind of took over, but he's more like animal witch doctor mixture, like, and
yeah.
he
And you
turns
could be a
into a
druid in
werewolf.
Baldur's Gate as well.
It really,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And you could actually there's a companion that is a druid and he turns into a bear and you could romance him and you could bang him as a bear.
Whoa. Well, I know what I'm
But
doing. Whoo.
but
Well,
it's like
wait till my
can you
wife's sleeping for
bang
that
him as a human? Like
one.
why would he turn into a bear?
Well, I mean, some people are into bears. That's what I
I
heard.
guess, yeah, but
It's
it's
like the
like and
lingo.
I didn't even recruit him. I failed to recruit him. So there's like stuff you got to do to even get him on the team.
Yeah, he's a catch then. He's like he plays hard to get,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah, you got to go after that bear. You got to
Yeah.
chase him.
I
Yeah,
kind of want to. I kind of want to see what that's like.
yeah. In my game right now, my companion that I carry with me is totally useless. He can't use any of his magic spells if he's wearing clothes. So I got to make him naked, and then
Wait, who is
well,
he?
he's some fucking magic dude.
Is
He's
he
the magic.
the is he got a beard?
Yeah, the wizard guy. What's his
Oh,
name?
okay, yeah.
I forget
I
his name.
is he better without clothes?
He can use his spells without clothes.
Well, yeah, but everybody can use their powers without clothes.
Yeah, but like with his clothes on, he can't use anything.
The fuck, I didn't know that about him.
Yeah,
That's
I
why I
was
don't
in a
carry
fight
him
and I'm like,
around
why
because
does he
I
have
feel
all
like
these
he's
powers he
useless.
can't use? And then I took his clothes off and he could like hit everybody with spells, and he's like the most powerful guy. And he's like this naked dude, It's like, what the hell's going on, man? Whoever
That's so
designed this game
silly.
has a sense of humor.
I didn't know that. That's why I haven't been taking him with me because I thought he was kind of useless.
Yeah.
But now
Speaking of,
maybe
to get on kind of a gross topic, uh, which genitals did you choose? Because I just went with number one. It was the simplest choice. When I shook back and forth, it jiggled real good, and I was like, okay,
yeah, there's
I'll take
several
that one.
genitals you could pick for Baldur's Gate 3. But to me, they're not different enough. They're like the
I know
same.
why even offer the choice if like it's just like I was
You get
cracking
like
up for a couple
four
minutes.
different penises.
I was feeling really immature because, but at the same time, I'm thinking like, why would they need to put this in the game? You
The
know,
game makes you feel immature because it's so silly.
I know really, really ridiculous, but it gave me a good laugh for a while. I was cracking up, and I'm like,
Yeah,
I almost chose like a trans character, because I was
yeah, you
trying.
could do that too.
I made my guy like he doesn't have a pronoun. I kind of
Yeah,
I just left that open. Yeah, I normally do that with most of my characters.
yeah.
Because it's a video game world. Why do they need to have a dick? Like what difference does it make?
I'm still
Like
trying to figure out why that feature is in the game. Like, what
me too.
is the purpose of it? I'm not complaining about it. I actually like it because it's kind of silly.
It
But
is. It's really funny, but it doesn't make a difference to me. It was in Cyberpunk too. If you played that,
it was in Cyberpunk, but it's like that was even more irrelevant
I
because
know. Except
you
that was a
couldn't.
little bit more like an in-depth kind of game. This one's a little more like Diablo, where you're far away. Like, why do you care what the guy's
Yeah,
junk
but you
looks
could move
like?
the camera close easily.
You can't move it close to the junk.
No, that's true. But it's but at the same time in Cyberpunk, you could see yourself naked. Like your character had like underwear on.
Yeah, yeah. I
So
just kind of
it
thought
was
of what a ridiculous conversation we're having.
yeah, it's just, we were talking about video games and all of a sudden we're talking about video game genitals and
Well, it
dicks
is
and
part of it. It is one of the parts of Baldur's Gate 3 that really had me going for a while. I was
it's
like,
one of the first things you notice because when you create your character, it's like eh,
it's
oh,
like
okay,
right under
I'm
like
picking
facial
genitals
hair.
now.
It's like dick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it's like there's like four different dicks. They're all the exact same size.
yeah.
And
That's what I was
like,
really.
what's
I
the point
thought
of
there was
this?
going to be like one freak, like elephant dog or something. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, it's like that's my guy. That's
And I think there's only two different vaginas.
yeah,
So
yeah. I was really disappointed in the vaginas. Don't even get me started.
yeah, it's rough.
Yeah,
It's odd. It's
it
odd
is.
that that's customizable, but you can't customize your character's like weight
Yeah,
or build, like
yeah,
that
yeah.
that
You
you can
can't
do.
customize a lot of aspects of it. I mean, there are a lot of different races. Oh,
Yeah.
I figured out
Excuse
what
me.
my guy. I made my guy a dragonborn dude. My
Oh, so he looks like a dragon.
Yeah, and his name's Draco. Yeah, that's him. Yeah.
That's
Uh,
funny.
yeah, I didn't make a good name, but I figured he kind of looks like a dragony guy. So he's, he's good. He's really strong. He's a lot stronger than my last guy that I used. That was like that dude with the funny ears,
Yeah. Yeah, I just
Ronnie
picked
or
a
whatever.
boring human and I kind of regret it because I feel like it's not
I think
unique at all.
I think the humans are the best though, really, because the humans have like kind of their most rounded out abilities. You know,
Yeah, and I also felt like that was more in line with barbarian. Like, what am I gonna be, an elf barbarian? Like, it
that would
doesn't
be
really
weird.
make
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. You're right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would think
But I guess
barbarians or
maybe that
something.
would be cool
Humans,
though.
yeah, humans have coined barbarian. But
Yeah.
we'll go ahead from this conversation straight from Baldur's Gate to Diablo, which we played not too long ago.
Yeah.
I was
Similar game.
well, we played two different characters in Diablo because we played
Yeah.
the first season, and then we realized they started a second season, and we were like, "What
Yeah.
the hell?" And then we're like, I guess we got to start a new character," and we did that for no reason really because we didn't do any of the later quests. Like,
Yeah, I know. It's like we could have just stuck with our original guys, it seems like.
yeah,
I don't even know what the bonuses we got from the new season were. It was hard to even
maybe
tell what was the difference.
I did like my newer character kind of, except I think I chose Druid the first time, and I had the werewolf guy, and he was stronger. Like he was definitely stronger in fights. And now I have a sorcerer guy with lightning spells and stuff, and he's powerful offensively, but he's a little bitch defensively. He gets bullied around by everybody, So
Yeah,
like he's a little
he's
magical.
like a glass cannon.
Yeah, I don't like him. Yeah, exactly. He's a glass cannon. That's a good way to put it. And yeah, I did like the game Diablo though. I had a great time with it. I feel like that
Yeah,
game
I
in
sunk a lot of
particular.
time into that in sort of a short period of time, only a few months really, but I played
Yeah,
it so much during that time, you
yeah.
know?
I feel like that was a throwback to like an old arcade game. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it felt like something that took me back to old button mashing 90s games, but
yeah,
it still had all the upgraded abilities of the newer games and the leveling up and like the progression that they kind of have added to games lately. So I feel like
yeah.
it was one of the better games that I played in a while. I don't know how I'll get back into it or how soon I'll get back into it because I played it so much. But
Yeah. I'll probably play it again at some point.
yeah, yeah, and so
It
from
also
that
came
I'll
with
go
my
right into.
Xbox, which is
Huh?
funny because it came with my Xbox because I
Oh
bought
yeah,
it over the summer and the Series X. And it's funny because it's like this game could be like on any console. It's almost
yeah.
like you don't need a next gen console, it feels like, for this game.
It
But
was kind of strange too that it wasn't on Xbox One because
yeah,
my wife has Xbox One and I had gotten a refurbished because I get everything refurbished style, like somebody else we know.
Yes, that's right.
I
It's
get
going
all the
back a few
refurb.
years.
Mine was like 300 and change or something when I got my Xbox. It was cheaper than it should have,
Nice.
and it's
And the price came down this year too, and I bought it when it was full price.
I gotta say, man, Microsoft has taken really good care of me when I buy their products refurbished, and I have a problem. I let them know, and most of the time they take care of it. Because
Yeah,
there's a
that's pretty cool.
manufacturing issue. So, and my controller, my Elite, I actually just had another one break that I'm going to be sending back. But it was a button started malfunctioning, and then like my directional pad gets stuck, and I can't hit left. Playing Mortal
Yeah.
Kombat it started happening where the button won't hit left, and it's like, all right, got to send it back. It's been used for almost a year now, and
Mhm.
like they said in an email that they'll give me a brand new one for $80. So that's not
Wow.
bad.
Yeah.
They should replace it if it fell within the year, but I think it's beyond its warranty date. So
Yeah. What did it retail for then?
uh,
Uh
like 180.
oh, okay. So wow, it's like $100 off.
Yeah, and it's going to be a new. It's not even going to be a refurbished controller. It's going to be a new one. So that's
That's
good.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
they're also pretty good at helping you out with troubleshooting problems. Like you could just like DM them on Twitter or something, and they'll get back to you and help you. Which
I
is,
had that
I'm sure they
problem.
all do that, but like
My money disappeared out of my account, and they put it back in. Like I
oh,
couldn't find my Xbox money. It was like I was missing $15, and I sent them, "Hey, apparently I don't have $15 that I did have in my account. Can you check it out?" And it was back in my account the next day. So
nice.
yeah, they've done a good job. So I'm pretty happy. I've never really been much of a PlayStation guy until
Yeah,
when PlayStation 2 came out. I didn't get on that train. I played the first PlayStation, but
yeah,
I kind of went with Microsoft after that date, and I haven't regretted it. I really I enjoyed every game that has been an exclusive to Microsoft. I actually would have picked that instead. Like
yeah. It's tough because especially back then, most of us only had one console, and you could only get one console because you're a kid.
oh, of course,
So it's like you didn't want to.
double
If you
up.
liked a game and you knew they were going to be making sequels for it, you didn't want to change consoles. You wanted to stick with it.
Yeah, so it's
So
pretty
that's
much
kind of what happened with me with Xbox and like Halo. I
yeah.
didn't want to change consoles
Me
because,
too.
you know,
Halo was the one that really roped me in, but then Mass
yeah,
Effect too. Oh man,
yeah,
Mass Effect. I'll jump to this story real quick. I got in a really bad motorcycle accident,
that's
and
right.
it was I'm lucky to be alive, but I got this nice little scar here to remind me of it. But I went through the windshield and hit my head on the concrete, rolled around. Had a really
Yeah.
bad concussion. Didn't remember where I was. Kind of had a little bit of amnesia, and Mass Effect had just come out, and I bought it earlier that day. Which is pretty funny. So like when I got home from the hospital, it was waiting for me. And I opened it up, and it was like my recovery game. Like I was messed up, man. I was covered in road rash, like my arms,
Oh man,
legs
that's
were. It was nasty. Like I had a white couch, and sitting down on my white couch just left that like gross stain. Just like I threw the couch out. It was so bad. But either way,
yeah,
like I had Mass Effect and and Tom Shepard to depend on when I had nothing else going on, and I had to take these painkillers just to stay awake and conscious, and like yeah, it
yeah,
was miserable. But I thank Mass Effect and and Microsoft for helping me get through that because
yeah.
that was
That
not
game was so immersive, especially at the time.
yeah. And I love the credit song at the end.
Yeah,
M4P2. Yeah,
yeah, that
that
was a good
was
one.
great.
That was a good ending song.
I think that was one of the best ending songs there ever
The
was.
the music in the first Mass Effect is the best in the series, I think, because
Reminds
it's
me of
got that
like
like
80,
ambient,
80
yeah,
sci-fis,
yeah,
like
it's like 80s, it's like Blade Runner. It's
yeah,
kind of like, that
Yeah,
synthy type music, you know?
yeah, the heavy synths, like
Yeah.
I really appreciated that. It gave it that alien feel, like
Yeah.
it
I,
really
I
struck.
love that about the first Mass Effect is the music. Yeah.
What I also loved about the first Mass Effect is I wasn't up on all the hype. Like I bought the game because somebody told me that day. They're like, "Hey, you're gonna love this game," and I think it might have been you.
Maybe.
But I hit my head that day. I don't remember anything before that point.
Yeah.
Somebody told me about the game, and I got it, but I wasn't up to date, so I had no idea what I was getting into. All I knew it was created by the writer of Knights of the Old Republic, you
Yeah.
know, and that was my favorite game at that point. So
That was one of the biggest selling points for me was that I wanted it because of that, that it was
yeah,
going to be like that.
and
And
it's so
I
blown
was
away.
on the hype train for it. I was waiting for that game to come out. I was really excited for it. Yeah.
I remember that was a big one with the romancing the characters. That was one of the
Yeah, that was
first games.
controversial, right? Like that was on the
Yeah,
news. It's crazy to
yeah, I
think that.
remember. It was a news report. It's like apparently you can make love to aliens in the new video, and it was like
Yeah,
they're
and there's a
making it
sex scene
negative.
in it, and that was like considered like. But if you watch it now, it's like nothing.
It's
It,
like rated
from,
PG.
from what I heard, it was actually from somebody who didn't see anything about the game.
Yeah,
All they heard was that there was a sex scene with an alien, and then they made a news story about it and complained about it and got everybody riled up about it,
yeah,
but they
yeah.
had never even seen it. So,
Well, that sounds like a good journalist right there.
well, it sounds like a typical journalist, I think.
Yeah, yeah, obviously. Yeah. So, all right. Well, I'll go into another game that's pretty graphic. Mortal Kombat. We've been playing.
Oh yeah, we've been playing that too. Yeah,
I enjoy Mortal Kombat. I've always been into it, since the first one came out. And it's funny
yeah, me
because I
too.
was in like third grade and I shouldn't have been exposed to that kind of gore, but I loved it,
Yeah,
especially as a kid. That was the coolest. It was like,
I know, and we thought it was so gory back then, but you look at it
uh-huh.
now, it's like it's not that bad.
No, it's not bad. It looks ridiculous too. It's like
Yeah,
there's way too much blood. If you ever kind of thought about it, it's like the guy would be dead before the round's over.
yeah. There's also way too many bones. Like
Yeah,
you do a fatality, there's like bones everywhere. Like
yeah,
what? How many bones does this guy have?
yeah, yeah. They were like bowling pins.
Yeah,
Just went everywhere. Yeah, the later fatalities, the more recent ones, they're getting really gruesome. They are like,
yeah.
some of
Some
them
of them are
are so
like
violent.
gross.
I showed my dad one of them, and he was like, "You're not going to show your nephew this, are you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, Dad, that's the next thing I'm going to do. I can't wait." He's
Yeah,
5 years
yeah.
old. I'm
I don't
going to
like
show
the
him all
ones
this
where
stuff.
like yeah, it's like especially the ones where like the dude is still alive for
Oh
like
yeah,
some of this trauma. Like
yeah. There's one Baraka. He like he makes a spark on the ground, makes a fire, and then grabs you by your intestines, and then like kicks you up in the air. It puts your
yeah, I
intestines
think
up on like a pulley, and he's like holding you by the intestines, and you're like strung up. And then each little Baraka guy comes in and grabs an arm and leg and starts eating you. And it's like,
oh man, that's rough.
yeah, so I do that to everybody I beat online, pretty much. I feel like that's a pretty good one to say that I beat you.
It's funny because I don't really do fatalities online that often
Oh,
unless
I
it's
almost
been done
have
to
to,
me, you know?
especially after like a real. I've been fighting a lot of Omni Mans lately. Oh man, a lot of
Yeah,
them.
Omni Man from Invincible is in the game for
Omni
some reason.
Man, and I'm fighting Quan Chi a lot. And Quan Chi's another add-on character that just like it gets me so mad. The DLC characters I'll talk about for a second. I wish that they could just, even them out and make them fair rather than make them OP. They're overpowered. They're just OP. It's
Yeah,
just
well, it's like if you're
unreal.
paying for it, you want it's like pay to play almost. Like you got to
Yeah.
pay to get the good characters.
Yeah, well, I paid like $70 for the freaking game. You know what I mean? And then it's $40 for another combat pack for another bunch of characters. Meanwhile, there
It
aren't
is.
nearly enough
It's
characters
so
that there
greedy.
should
That
be.
game is so greedy. It really
And
is. Like
that's
it's
one thing that got me a little bit mad. Like I love WB, I really do. I love Warner Brothers and a lot of the movies and shows and all the things they put out. But they are greedy as hell when it comes to video games, man. Like
yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's like and they're going to be doing it for like probably a couple of years. They're going to be putting out like DLC characters for that, and a
Yeah.
lot of them should have been in the game, the base game.
Yeah.
Like,
And why did we even need Mortal Kombat 11? You know what I mean? 10 was good. They could have just added characters to 10. They
well,
didn't
they did
change.
for a while. They added a lot,
Yeah.
but then they came out with 11.
And they
They
came
added
out
a
with
lot of
that.
characters to
And then
that
they
one, and
added
they're
a
going to
lot
do
to
the
that.
same for this one.
And they're starting it all over again. It's just like each time they diminish the characters too. Like,
Yeah,
and they change the storylines. Like, Baraka now has like a fucking disease. It's like
yeah, yeah. I
one
didn't
of my
like that
favorite
either.
characters, just a sick bastard. Like,
Yeah,
okay, thanks a lot, Mortal Kombat.
yeah. The reason he liked that is because he's sick.
Well, I actually do like that they made him more of a piece of crap, because well, he's a good guy, a good character in this game at least, and they made him like fighting for the good guys rather than being manipulated by the bad guys, like his
Yeah, they
old.
made a lot of the bad guys good
Yeah,
in the
and
game.
two of those were my favorite guys, Reptile and Baraka.
Yeah, they're both good,
Yeah.
which is odd, but I kind of
Oh,
like it too.
because
Like,
my
because it makes
favorite
them.
three, I had Liu Kang, Baraka, and Reptile. I'd fight back to back in Trilogy.
Yeah,
Trilogy had the ones where you had the 3-on-3 combat, which I'll
that's
bring
right.
up.
Yeah,
Mortal Kombat should have the tag team, and they don't have tag team mode. They don't have any kind of co-op
they
mode
had it in
whatsoever.
9, but they don't have it they haven't had it since then. I don't know why. Doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
it doesn't seem like it would be hard to do programming wise,
It
and
worked 10 years ago on two console generations ago. It worked. Like,
yeah,
it's crazy, you
yeah.
know?
And that's a major gripe that I have with it. As
Yeah,
much
I
fun
agree.
as I have playing with, I'd rather team up with you and then take other people on, because right now I can
Yeah,
only fight against you.
yeah.
Uh,
It'd be more fun to team up with your friends than
I
fight
don't want
them.
to get my ass kicked by you. I'd rather kick ass together. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
you're way better than I am, especially with Johnny Cage. Like, you could just do that combo endlessly on me in the corner, just keep flipping.
yeah.
Like,
Well,
I
Johnny
can't
Cage
avoid that.
is a he's a
I can't.
frustrating character to play against. I
Even
admit
with my
that.
teleports, dude, I can't get away from that. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter what I do. So,
Well, the name of the game with Johnny Cage is pressure. You just keep on offense constantly, and
yeah,
you'll win most of the time. It's pretty crazy.
yeah. Well, I noticed the one way I can win against that is if I'm Baraka and I'm on the attack.
Yeah.
If it's like I
Well, that's
jump
where you
over
don't want
your
to be
head
as
and
Johnny
do the
Cage.
same kind of thing you're doing, then neither of us are blocking the whole fight. And we're all just
Yeah.
grabbing each other and throwing each other around and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have enjoyed the combat in the new game. I feel like they stayed true to the original formula as far as gameplay. And
Yeah. And I'm glad that in the last 10 years they've gone back to the sort of 2D look
me too, me
where
too.
where since Mortal Kombat 4, they went through several games
Kombat
that were
4.
like the
And not just
3D.
4, but Deadly Alliance too.
Yeah.
And
And
whatever
Armageddon.
Armageddon. Yeah, you're right. That was also 3D.
Yeah.
And Deception and
Deception. Yeah.
yeah.
It was odd. It was just weird, you
That was
know?
a weird time for Mortal Kombat, actually, because the games and the characters were strange too. Like
Yeah.
I think it was what's his name, kind of Tobias, split
But
after
yeah.
Mortal Kombat 4, or maybe before Mortal Kombat 4, and then it was just on Ed Boon.
Yeah. I don't know exactly when he left, but yeah, it felt like it took a hit when he left.
Yeah,
And it took a while for them to come back. It's interesting how
absolutely.
video games in general like older ones have aged better than some of the more recent ones. Like the first three Mortal Kombats are better and more timeless than
Then
some of the ones
4.
that came after that.
Yeah,
You know?
and yeah, I know. And it's kind of weird that you say that because it's true with a lot of games, because
Yeah,
it's the simplicity of some of the earlier games really outweighs the innovation that they kind of got to in the middle, like in the in between years before, they started getting like maybe 10 years ago, they started getting a little more advanced with gameplay and gameplay mechanics and different leveling up, and like different
Yeah.
kinds of progression to keep you interested in the game, you know.
Yeah,
So
you note like in the Nintendo 64 era, you notice the polygons and it's like
yeah,
it's so much more like Super Mario 64 feels more dated than the original Super Mario in a
I
lot of
know.
ways, you know?
It's so weird. Yeah. And it was so cool when it first came out because, you know,
Yeah,
like we weren't used to
'cause
that. I remember that. That was nuts, man.
it
Yeah. I
was
remember
crazy. And
you got
to
the
us, the
Nintendo
graphics were
64.
amazing, you know?
Yeah. Wait, what was amazing?
To us, the graphics were like amazing back then. And it was
Yeah,
like a 3D world, you know, and we had never seen anything like that at that
I
point, you
know.
know?
It was crazy. You got the Nintendo 64 first, I remember. And the first game you got was MK Trilogy, you know?
Yeah, that was one of the first games I had. Yeah,
I think it was
MK
the
Trilogy.
only game you had for a little while.
Well, it came with Mario 64, so I had
Oh, did
that.
it? Oh,
Yeah,
okay. I thought for some reason you only had that, and then later you had gotten Mario for some
no,
reason.
those were I think those were my first two games were Mortal Kombat Trilogy and Mario 64, which are like
Well,
you couldn't get more different than those two games.
Mortal Kombat Trilogy ended up being the only game that I would play on the Nintendo 64. In
Yeah,
fact, I had a Nintendo 64 later on, and me and my brother played just that. So I would play that you know, when Mortal Kombat 4 and 5 and all the other Mortal Kombats were out. I was still playing that until they came
yeah,
out with the Mortal Kombat original for Xbox remake, you know, that one that
yeah,
they redid the combat and put all
right,
the characters in, you know. So
right.
I was playing Trilogy until then because Trilogy was just better. You know, Trilogy
Yeah,
had better gameplay. It had all the fatalities. It had all the characters.
it had the characters you were missing from three, like Scorpion and Johnny Cage.
And
You know,
Chameleon, and
yeah,
you know, it had a lot of the guys that Scorpion was missing from MK3 and
yeah,
MK Ultimate. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, either way, all right. On that game, I guess we'll go to the next one. Starfield.
Oh yeah,
How'd you like
that's a
that?
recent game. Yeah,
I enjoyed Starfield. I thought it was a lot of
yeah.
fun.
I haven't played enough of it. I haven't gotten really into it yet, but you played a lot of it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm like a level 95 or something,
Wow.
94. But like I
Yeah, I'm like
accidentally
a
sided
12 or
with like
something.
I sided with some jerk pirates, and like I just go around and kill a bunch of people. Like, and I don't really like my character. He's kind of a jerk. You know? Because like I got all this money, I got a really nice ship, and I just go around and mess people up, and I try to get as much experience as I can. But it's not
Yeah,
as
it's
rewarding as it was in the beginning because I felt like, you know, I could go around and like make changes in the world, you know, and almost like how Mass Effect is, you know, like how you go
right.
to characters and like they have different storylines, and it's not as immersive as that as far as the storylines. Like it
Right.
is kind of environmentally, like you can change the levels and put bases there and change the
Mhm.
planet a little bit, and you know, like make it your own. But they didn't have like characters that you'd meet and then like you do something and then it would change their outcome. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
definitely not as many side quests, you know, like, and I was kind
Yeah.
of disappointed in that. I thought, you know, that especially when I first found out about the game, they said like, play all the side quests. It's not meant to just play the main quest. So I did that. And I felt like I was doing repetitive tasks, you know, like just
Yeah.
I'm doing the same thing, just you know, like in a different place now. So
Yeah. For me, it was like it's the travel that I found boring. Like
yeah,
getting from one place to another was like, well, I'm just walking most of the time, you know? Like
yeah, and there is no. That's the other part. There's no mount, like in.
yeah. Yeah,
It's
they
like
should have
Skyrim.
like a rover or something, like a little car, you know?
Skyrim, at least you got a horse. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
and
And Skyrim, I feel like was it like the terrain is more like fun to look at in a
yeah,
lot of
this
places.
is
Like
more like
if you're,
Fallout. This is
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
definitely more like Fallout. And in fact, even with the shooting mechanics and the weapons, I felt like it was just Fallout in a different setting. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, and the
Well, it is Bethesda,
characters.
so it makes sense. But I feel like the shooting was a little better than Fallout.
Yeah,
Uh, Fallout is more fun to shoot with the VATS, where you like kind of freeze time
Yeah,
and
yeah.
shoot that way.
Almost like Max Payne back in the day.
Yeah, almost
Yeah,
like that.
they
It's
had like
almost turn-based in a weird way.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I like that it broke the combat up, like
yeah,
that. At the same time, like Starfield's way of doing it made it more of a shooter. It made it more of a first person shooter. So
yeah.
in
It was definitely
combat
more first
situations,
person. Yeah,
combat's more fun in Starfield. And I souped
yeah,
up some guns where like my guy's really deadly, really bad. Like he's crazy. So
yeah. I feel like the game hasn't opened up for me yet, and I haven't hit that like level where I feel super powerful yet.
yeah,
So, you
yeah. So
know,
it's not fun yet. Yeah,
yeah,
like yeah, I think it took me getting my first ship that I designed. That was the part I really got into. I was designing my ships and making them crazy. And I realized that you can add more weapons. So once you add more weapons, you can put on like 4 gun turrets that you could afford, 4 real cheap ones, and
yeah.
then just wreck people, man. Or like put 4 gun turrets and put 3 other gun turrets, all bullets, like and do some strange setups, and they really work out. Like
Yeah,
it's
I heard that's where the game gets really fun
yeah,
is designing your ships and stuff like that. But I haven't had the money to do that yet, so I'm obviously
exactly.
not.
It's crazy expensive. Like I would save up millions of credits or whatever, and then spend it all in one sitting building a ship.
Yeah,
So it it was fun, but the most fun part was stealing other people's ships in space. Like you go out, disable their ship, and then you could dock with
yeah,
them, kill everybody on board, then steal their ship. And
yeah,
it's like I did that and stole like 7 ships or the maximum amount, and just modified the biggest ship of those. And then
yeah.
that's kind of how I went into my next shipbuilding. So
I had an opportunity to do that, but I couldn't fly the ship. My skills were not
yeah.
high enough to fly the ship.
And yeah, that's the frustrating part. You got to level up your shipbuilding, you got to level up your piloting, and you got to level up your engineering or something like that. And
Yeah,
yeah, so I had a great time with the game, but at the same time, there were a couple things that left not a bitter taste in my mouth, a stale taste would be the best. I'm not like super excited to go back and play now, replay value,
yeah.
because
They
I kind
might make it more fun if they add mods to the console version, because they did that with Skyrim and Fallout 4, where there was like a whole mod like setup where you could just pick mods and download them and use them in the game. A lot of times they would break the game,
did
like
you
they
get
would.
into that at all? Did you?
Yeah, I played Skyrim and Fallout 4 with some mods, and they were pretty fun. Like you
Yeah,
could jump really high, you could have different power sets and stuff like that, different weapons,
that's cool.
different characters too. They added like companions that were not in the original game,
Oh,
which was interesting. Like fully voiced characters were mods, which
that's
it's kind of
badass.
crazy.
I would check
Yeah,
that out. Yeah,
but it kind of makes the
Skyrim
game
was
on console a little unplayable sometimes because like it caused more crashing, and it was like it almost like was almost not worth it after a while.
gotcha. Yeah, I feel like Skyrim, as far as a game, was a little more complete than
Yeah,
Starfield feeling, and I played Starfield probably close to about as much as I played Skyrim too,
yeah,
hours wise, and yeah, I just felt like if I go back to Skyrim, I know there are things that I didn't do yet.
yeah,
If I go back to Starfield, I'll be surprised if I find somebody new, or
yeah,
something new to do, or like I even went to every shop and stole everything I possibly could because there
yeah.
was nothing else to do. But I did find this one shop where there were like hundreds of guns on his wall, like it was glitched out, and one gun was like 5 guns. So
Yeah.
if you make them look away, like I had this power that I could command a guy to go in the other room. I'd command
Like a
him to go
Jedi
in the
mind
other room,
trick.
and I just steal all the shit real quick, just hit A, everything.
Yeah,
And then I'd be over encumbered with like 1,000 pounds of stuff because I have all these guns. But then I sold all those guns and I was rich, you know?
yeah. I feel like Skyrim was like ahead of its time when it comes to stuff like that because
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff in the game. The original game, like you didn't even need DLC
I
for
know.
that.
That's what that's why I felt like it was more of a complete game, especially when it
Yeah,
first came out. You know, like when you're first getting into the game, like it really did have that grand adventure feel to it. You know, like you're the dragonborn guy and you're part of a larger story. You know, and in Starfield, I feel like you're just this little bitch miner in the beginning, and they
yeah,
don't really get into how grand the story is until later. And the storyline actually for Starfield, I'm looking forward to you playing through it because it's pretty cool. It's
yeah. I want to get back into it.
a
It's
pretty
just like
great
there's so
ending.
many games, you know.
Yeah, yeah, I know. What other games do you have to get into? You know, while I'm on that
Oh,
topic,
um,
or have you been looking?
I still haven't even finished Cyberpunk. I want to get
Oh,
back
really?
into that because uh, they put out some new DLC and they kind of like they've updated it and it's apparently a better game now. So I want to check that out again.
I actually had a great time with Cyberpunk. You know,
Yeah,
people said a lot of I'll go whatever, man. I sometimes I go with the real unpopular opinion, and my unpopular opinion was Cyberpunk was more fun to me than like, let me see, it was almost on par with Starfield because
yeah.
like the
The thing
amount
is
of
that it
things you could
was
do.
it was broken on the older Xbox Ones. Like it was because you played it on the Xbox One,
Oh, the
the
One
re-release,
X. I played it
the
on the
One
One
X. Yeah,
X. Yeah, and it
yeah.
worked
I
for
played
me.
it on the One S, which is just not powerful enough for
Yeah,
that game. The loading times were excruciating,
really,
and the graphics were bad. Like they were
really.
just bad on that, you know.
Yeah.
So
I didn't get that. I'm lucky. My experience was actually really good, and
yeah,
everybody said that it froze and had all kinds of issues. I didn't. I had way
yeah,
more issues with it. You remember we used to play PUBG years ago?
yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my goodness, man! Like I got a highlight reel. I'll put it on my YouTube for anybody that wants to watch it. You know, I'll put some of these videos. I was looking at my old Xbox videos. Oh man, Ed, I got like comedy reels that did go for like a half an hour because like it just glitches. Like we're just driving
yeah.
along, me and you, and then all of a sudden we explode, and it's like, what
Yeah,
happened? And then a
it would
building
just
loads
explode.
after.
Yeah. Like what is this? A 78 Pinto or something like? Why is it blowing up
It
when
would
it hits
just
a
blow
bump?
up. And then
Yeah.
after we're all dead and it looks like we're in a field, a building would load, and it turns out like we drove into a freaking building,
Yeah,
but it
like it
wasn't
didn't
there
render.
yet. Yeah, like a lot of things would happen like that. Like yeah, that the I went back and watched them, and it's really funny. Like the glitches that would happen that just ended the game for us. Like we found
Yeah.
them comical, you know. Like we
You
didn't
also
let it ruin
accidentally
our
kill
night.
your own team sometimes in that. Like
Huh?
you also accidentally kill your own teammates in
Yeah.
that too. It's like it's it's such a silly game.
Joey would kill me on purpose when I'd lag out to get my
That's
guns.
right, because he wanted to get your gear.
Son of a bitch. Sorry, that's my mom I'm talking about.
Yeah, I guess that's sure it's your brother. So if he's a son of a bitch, it's not good.
Yeah, that makes me a son of a bitch too, I guess.
No,
uh,
your mom's really nice.
yeah, my mom's great. She's not a bitch. All right. Yeah. What other video games do we got? Anything else we've been playing that's kind of fresh on our minds? I played Marvel Midnight Suns, which is
Oh yeah, you were telling me about that. That's
it,
another
it was
turn-based game, right?
a really fun turn-based game. It's not a super grand adventure, but I feel like it's more of a comic book story. You know, like
Right.
and it's fun. It's got a storyline almost equivalent of Diablo. It's got
Right.
Lilith. Lilith comes back. You know,
Lilith is in the Marvel game.
yeah, yeah. And she plays like the same character, you know. And in the Marvel game, you're Lilith's son. He's a superhero character named the Hunter,
Oh,
and
you create your own character, I guess.
yeah, yeah, you're
Okay.
you're like a new character, almost like Mass Effect. You know how you're Shepard. You're this
Yeah.
guy Hunter who's Lilith's son, and you got to team up with like Spider-Man and Wolverine and all these like Blade and
But
what's his
why is she in the game? That seems so random.
who Lilith? Oh, she's the
Yeah.
what do you call it? She's like the vampire queen or some crap. Uh,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's in a lot of like old stories. Like it's Lilith is apparently the first vampire, according to some
Yeah, I
like
have heard that. It's not just the Diablo character. Yeah.
she was in
Um,
True Blood also.
really.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's like Dracula almost,
yeah, yeah. Lilith is like the kind of it's in the Dracula story. Actually, I think Lilith is involved in that. I think she's like the mother of all vampires or something, or I could be
Wow.
making that up. I don't know, but either way,
Yeah.
yeah, that game was a lot of fun, and it had some great voiceover acting by Iron Man, acting like Robert Downey Jr. It sounds almost just like him. The guy who
It's
sounds
like they
like
can't do an Iron Man without it being Robert Downey Jr. anymore.
yeah. Doctor Strange was great, even though it wasn't. Benedict comes a bunch. And yeah, I really did have a good time with the game, and the storyline was good. And I'm not even 100% through with it. I'm only like halfway through, and my wife finished it already. She loved it so far. So
Nice.
yeah, so I enjoyed that game, and that was a real pleasant surprise. And I got it like for 40% off or some really big sale. So I think a
Yeah.
Black Friday sale actually.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was pretty good. But any other games you want to mention, or anything that you played or looking forward to playing?
Um, None that I could think of off the top of my head. I'm really just playing mainly Baldur's Gate and Mortal Kombat right now.
Yeah,
But as for like favorite games, it's obviously Mass Effect is at the top of the list for me. I'm really
yeah.
looking forward to the next game. I hope they don't screw it up because Mass Effect Andromeda was not that good. So
I didn't have a big problem with it. I
it's not that I had a
actually
problem with it. It's just that it was like it felt like it wasn't epic enough.
yeah.
It felt
What did bother me about it was when I was through playing it the first time, I was done playing it.
yeah.
Like that
So
was
I had the same
frustrating.
experience. Yeah,
And I loved the progression of the story, having to find the different races and stuff to piece it. I thought that was really cool, but it
yeah.
in execution it could have been done a little bit better. Uh, but it
I
didn't
didn't
feel like
like
Mass Effect.
the jetpack boost jump.
I did exactly. That's what made it feel more like a Super Mario or something. Then
Yeah,
like it didn't
and
feel
I found
fancy.
myself just doing it when I'm not even
Yeah,
like I'm just hitting the button and
yeah.
jumping for no reason.
I'm just like jumping Jack Flash, jumping around everywhere. Like
Yeah, it was too much. I hope they don't have that in the new one, or if they have it, I hope it's a little bit more refined.
yeah, a little bit less cartoony jumping style. Like I feel, like the jumping was out of this world. It was like more like
Yeah,
Sonic the Hedgehog or something. Like
something that needs a recharge after you use it. You know,
yeah, yeah,
so like you're not constantly jumping everywhere.
yeah. I was doing the same thing. But
Yeah,
yeah. What is the next Mass Effect game? Do they have one planned?
they do. Yeah, they don't have a title for it yet. They just have a teaser trailer, and it's probably not even close to being done. And we don't know when it takes place, but it looks like what's her name? Liara is in the trailer.
Oh, okay.
So
So
I,
it's going to be that timeline. Yeah, and it's not going to be like
maybe
thrown in.
remember she lives a really long time though.
Okay, yeah, you're right. She lives 1,000 years.
Yeah, and she
Yeah,
was young when Mass Effect. She was only like 100 when the first game came out. So
yep, yep. And she was what's her name's daughter, Benezia. So
yeah, Deanna
Benezia
Troy.
was like 1,000 years old. Yeah, Deanna Troy.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that'd be cool, but Andromeda I felt like was weird because it separated you from everything you knew, in Mass Effect.
yeah.
It put you
And
at,
there may be a link to that. They may link up both games. So
I,
I,
I
I heard.
would be happy if they did, if they kind of made the Andromeda universe a little bit more immersive, like with the Citadel and stuff like that. Like make it a little grander, like make the Reapers go to their galaxy too. Make other Reapers. I
Yeah,
don't know, make it a little bit.
it's tough because how are they going to do it without the Reapers? It's like
You
it,
can't.
it, it's kind of like you need a big enemy.
Yeah. And the
And
Reapers
that's what I
are.
thought Mass Effect Andromeda lacked was a big,
Oh yeah.
huge.
And
anything,
really, how can you top the Reapers, man? The
Yeah,
Reapers, out of all enemies in any game or sci-fi or anything, they're truly the most terrifying out of
yeah,
anything.
it really, especially in the first game when you're getting introduced to them and Sovereign, it was terrifying. The
Yeah,
voice was so great
yeah.
for the Reaper, you know.
Yeah. Well, the voice was great. Everything was good. The setup was phenomenal. The setups in the books was really good. Like it's like,
Yeah,
they hinted at what you were kind of going to find in the first books. Like that
yeah,
Sovereign was starting to take over Saren.
right.
And like you kind of saw that process a little bit and how it was manipulating him to do its
Yes,
own little projects.
Saren reminds me a little bit of Saruman in a lot of ways, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah. I feel
you
like
know,
essentially he is that character. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
he's the good guy that gets swayed by the darkness. And
yeah. And he thinks it's the only way. It's the only
yeah,
way it's gonna
and
work, you know.
and he tries to bend everybody else to his will.
Yeah,
And he's got to go down for that. Just like Saruman. Like he's
yeah,
got to go down, and whether it's Gandalf or freaking Shepard that brings him down, it's gonna be somebody. In any story like that.
yeah. And
Um,
I think that the sequels, I love the sequels too, especially the second one, but they all lacked a character like Saren. You know,
yeah.
they needed a
They
villain
needed
like
that.
him.
You're right. And two I liked a lot, but I feel like three really really cemented in the story, and three made it scary and made it real, made it kind
It
of
did,
dark
yeah. And
and
it felt
depressing.
like with the opening with the attack on Earth, that was great.
Yeah,
But my problem with three is that, you know, the same writer wasn't there for that, the one we talked about, Karpashin. And there was a lot of dropped threads
yeah.
from that setup,
Um,
you know, like
I feel like three started too late. You know what I mean? It
yeah,
started at a point that you were already past the point of no return. You're already screwed. So it's
yeah.
like and that kind of was my only problem with three. And I really played three. I played all these games on the hardest difficulty because like a hardcore gamer like
Yeah,
that. Like,
the gameplay in three was really great
oh, it
too.
was phenomenal.
It
And
was
like on
really,
the
really
hardest
good.
difficulty, I feel like that and Dead Space. Dead Space and Dead
Yeah,
Space 2. On the hardest difficulties, those were some of the hardest games that I ever played that were just like unbelievably hard.
yeah.
You needed to have skill and memory. You had to know where everything was and where people were going to pop up and what things were going to happen because like there's no way you're going to make it through on your first run through. Like
Yeah,
you
and
have
when you
to,
play it on hard in Mass Effect or Insanity, you kind of need to put more thought into the characters you take with you,
yeah.
because some of them aren't as strong as the other ones, you know.
Yeah, and I feel like you get stuck into also when you're doing that to picking the same characters, but you get kind of stuck with them once you're molding your character a certain way. You're like, well, I need this now, like you're gonna like my guy was a biotic, or he's a Vanguard, so he was
Right.
a
Yeah,
biotic and like shotgun kind of
yeah,
pistol sniper rifle also wielder. So I would go around with those three weapons. The only one I wouldn't use is the assault rifle, really. But
yeah.
I went around with those weapons and used my biotic powers at the same time to refresh my shield all the time, and that's how you stay
Yeah,
alive. Like without that,
yeah.
I would never have been able to beat that game. Like I needed those Vanguard powers. Like,
One thing I hated about Mass Effect 3 was the weight issue they added to that game where you couldn't carry all the guns. Even if you were a
the
soldier,
best
you
thing about
couldn't
Mass
carry all
Effect
the guns.
1 is you can carry all that crap. You remember?
Yeah,
Like,
you don't have like a proficiency with all of it, but you could still carry it, you know?
yeah. Yep.
So that annoyed me. Like,
Yeah.
all of a sudden, this is an issue. Like, come on. And I feel like it was too much. Like, it was hard
It
to
gets
carry
really
like two
annoying
guns.
in Starfield. Like it gets so annoying in Starfield because it's like you're finding elements too, and when you pick up
Yeah,
lead and like all these other materials that are actually heavier than
You're
water.
over encumbered all the time.
Always, especially carrying materials. And it's like you don't even have like a freaking backpack or something. Like, this is the future.
Yeah,
Like, you don't have like a little a suitcase with wheels that can follow you around or something. This isn't,
yeah.
the freaking
It's
future. We got that now.
it, but you could carry as much gold or money as you want.
Yeah.
That there's
Like the
no
money
weight limit
doesn't
on
weigh
that.
anything. Well, they're like credit slips that are literally physical things. Like you
Yeah,
see them in the game, but they don't
yeah.
weigh
Which doesn't
nothing.
make a lot of sense.
No, no sense at all. But all right. We spent enough time on that topic.
Yeah,
Uh, enough for video games for this month, and we'll talk about that next month. Hopefully
yeah,
on the same day or first week or whatever, whenever we feel like it. Really.
yeah.
Uh,
Whenever we get around to it.
yeah, we're trying to make this a little bit of a weekly segment, but
Yeah,
every week is different. Like last week I was sick. The week before that was like the holidays, and then
yeah.
before that everybody else was sick, and I was trying to help them. So it's like eh.
Yeah, and one of my big problems is video games. Like I'm playing too much video games right now. I haven't been, feeling like doing much else.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you before we get on the next topic. What videos do you have planned soon? Do you have anything you're looking forward to doing as far as movie reviews or
Uh, yeah, I'm the next video I'm probably going to do is something on the original series for Star Trek.
Okay.
What are little girls made of? Remember that one
Oh,
with
yeah,
Roger Corby?
of course.
I figure I should do that one because it's the one with the Dick
The Dick
Rock
Rock.
in it.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
like, why wouldn't I do that one?
yeah. That's the
I
one
should
with
have done it
Lurch.
already.
I like that one.
Yeah,
Lurch
it's a good
is
one.
good in that. Roger Corby's good. The weird thing about that episode, I'll bring up real quick. I thought it was strange that Nurse Chapel was like still engaged to this dude while
Yeah.
he's like off with some
And
random girl on like a
yeah, well,
remote
he made a
planet.
robot, but
Yeah,
she's engaged to him, and she's like, the 2 episodes ago, she was like pining for Spock or something like that.
I
Like
know.
she's,
She's engaged and she was just literally like taking him soup, like trying to
yeah.
suck his little Vulcan
Well, that
wiener.
didn't happen yet, but every scene she's in with Spock, like that's all she can. All Nurse Chapel does in the whole original series is try to get laid, like, and fail.
I love that. It's so funny too because she was Gene Roddenberry's wife, and
Yeah,
Gene Roddenberry has her play that character. It's
yeah, I
like
know.
hitting on every dude. Well, really just Spock, you know.
So different from the first character she played, who was the first officer, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
now
Like,
she's like this.
did you
Yeah,
know?
she's
What do you call it? One of the producers, when Gene Roddenberry showed him the pilot, said, "Lose the brunette." It said to him. So he
the
took that
one woman.
literally. He took that literally. He's like, okay, I'll change her to a blonde.
That's funny.
Yeah, that is pretty funny. But
Yeah,
that's 100% why she was Nurse Chapel instead of being a command officer, because
right.
that didn't fly back then with the guys. That's what
Yeah, they
Roger
didn't like that.
had.
That's probably one of the reasons why they made them redo the pilot.
It's the
It's
only
probably one
reason.
of the reasons.
And
Yeah,
it really is. It's so stupid. But whatever. That was the era that they lived in. So
yeah,
I'm really glad. I'm really glad things have changed. In fact, it goes a little bit the other way now sometimes, which is fine. That's the way it's supposed to go. But like with Ray, we'll just bring her up real quick. She gets all her powers
Ray. Who's
from
Ray?
Ray, the female character from the latest Star Wars movie that I think set
Oh,
women back 50 years by it's
I
like
don't know if that's true, but like she was a character that was put in the forefront but never developed. You
never
know?
developed whatsoever. And it just really placed the emphasis on making up your character, like just coming out of the blue and like making that be kind of the way to introduce characters now, and like showing that as a writing style is a way to go. Other people are going to emulate that now, I believe, You know what I mean? It is going to create a little bit of a bigger problem of, kind of entitled empowerment that isn't, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I think
It's empowerment, but it's not like developed empowerment. There's no reason behind it.
it's exactly right. It's like, it's like as if Luke Skywalker were to, let's say he killed Darth Vader and the Emperor instead. He killed them
Mhm.
in anger and was happy about it, and and it ended. The story ended good. How would you feel about Luke as a character? Would you think that he went against everything that he did, his development, or do you think that he kind of just behaved the way that he should have at that time and took out
Well,
the
the first thing I would say is it's not believable because I
bad
don't
guy?
think Luke would be strong enough to kill both of them, especially after that short period of time of training.
Yeah,
So the way it happens to me makes so much
it's
sense
the only way it could have
because,
happened in my book. Yeah,
yeah, and I like that he does something that even Obi-Wan and Yoda didn't think of.
yeah.
They didn't think that Luke could turn Vader good again.
And
They didn't
that's
think
the
that was
dumbest thing
possible.
to me. It's like, why wouldn't they think that?
Yeah,
Why
I know they should
would
have.
they even suspect that? Especially if with him being Anakin, like they turned their back on him really blatantly, like,
Yeah,
and in my
well,
eyes, they
because it
kind
had
of
never
screwed
happened
him
before.
over. They were responsible for him turning dark. It was their mistrust that led him that way. So,
Yeah, but they're like historians, so they know the history of the Jedi and the Sith, and they know that once you go to the dark side, you're kind of stuck there,
yeah,
you know. So
it is
it was is this rare thing. They didn't
scam
think of it.
likely getting called all day long, man,
They
all
just
day.
called me during this conversation. I had to hang
I
up on.
I answer Ed, and I'm like, "Who are you?" Like that's how I answer now. And they're like,
You should
"Oh,
not answer those.
this is the police alliance calling to if you advocate officers." Yeah, I advocate, but I don't have any money. Leave me alone. And then I hang up. And
Yeah, a lot
like,
of times it's for like you gotta like your car's warranty is up or some shit. It's like
yeah,
what the fuck are
yeah,
you talking about?
I know. I don't even have a car with a warranty. But they'll call me about it. All right. So I'll go into newer movies that we've seen now. Change
Yeah,
topics a little bit.
I saw a bunch recently.
I don't know. I'd have to kind of think for a second because as far as new ones I've seen recently, I don't know. What have you seen?
Because I did a sort of end of the year video where I sort of talked about some of the 2023 movies I saw, and a lot of them I saw just within the last 3 or 4 months.
Oh, cool.
Um, so I saw like Oppenheimer.
Oh, okay. That reminds me, I
Um,
saw Barbie.
yeah, I saw Barbie. Yeah. I thought they were okay. I feel like they're getting more buzz than I would give them,
Yeah.
but that's fine. They're well-made movies. They're good. They're, Barbie I thought was funny.
Well,
Um,
how'd you see Oppenheimer? Was that on Redbox or something, or did you stream it?
no, I just streamed it. It was just illegally.
Oh, well, you mean legally? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean legally.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I sign up for I got Amazon, Netflix, HBO, and Hulu, and I haven't seen Oppenheimer on any of those, but I saw
It should be on
Barbie.
there soon, I think. It's been out a while.
I would
So
think that
it,
I thought that was a Warner Brothers movie. I thought it would be on HBO because
it's Lionsgate. So who's Lionsgate? That's Warner
oh,
Bros.,
okay.
right? I think it is
Now
Lionsgate.
I
I'm
don't know
not
who
totally sure.
Lionsgate is. I don't know. MGM
That's
maybe.
Warner Brothers, right? I think because they did the Batman movies.
Oh, it would be then. Yeah. If
But I
they
don't
did
know for
Batman.
sure. I don't quote me on any of this. So
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I have noticed, like paying attention to that HBO will carry all the Warner Brothers stuff, like
yeah,
HBO, and they carry all the DC stuff, you know,
yeah,
because
because there's been a merger and shit like that. So yeah, it's they have all the DC shit is on there,
it's
which
so
is funny
funny.
because now they have all the Star Trek movies too.
I
And it's
know.
like
I know.
why the fuck am I paying for Paramount Plus too when all the Star Trek shit is going over to HBO?
Well, my Paramount Plus is actually paid for by my Amazon. I don't know if
Oh
how
yeah,
that
you can get it
works.
through that. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, if you do that, that might work out better for you. But that's what I do.
Yeah, I think it's extra money though, right? You don't get it for free.
I think they offer a discount or something. That's
Oh,
how.
okay. Yeah, well, Amazon is getting ads now, even for Prime members, which I think is bullshit.
Yeah, yeah, and they list things that are like on Freevee and stuff with commercials and shit, and
Yeah.
like
Then the
uh,
commercials are like every 5 minutes.
I
It's
know.
insane.
I know. And it looks like anything interesting is on Freevee. Anything that looks
Yeah,
like it'd be fun to watch is on there with commercials. So,
yeah.
yeah,
It's
it
like
gets annoying,
this is
but
why we went to streaming is to get rid of commercials, and now it's all fucking commercials now.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
What do you think of the Barbie movie?
I liked it. I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was outstanding. What I really didn't like about it was there's the Barbie world and the real world, and the real world is like just as crazy and wacky
Yeah,
as the Barbie world. Like I
that's
would have
that's
liked
what
there
I
to
thought
be,
too. Yeah, and I also felt like the characters in the real world were crazier than the ones in the Barbie
yeah,
world.
like Will Ferrell
Yeah,
was in it, and he was just
I'm
nuts.
yeah, and I'm glad he was in it because I always appreciate Will Ferrell. He's funny, you know.
Yeah,
Some
but he
people
was
can't
he
stand
should
him.
have been he should have been one of the Kens because he
Yeah,
was that
he
crazy. Like,
definitely should have been one of the Kens. That would have been a lot
yeah,
funnier, and he would have been able
yeah.
to play that out a little better. But
Especially since he's not like he's like this old dude now, and he's like
yeah,
flabby. It just doesn't fit with the Kens. But it
yeah,
would have been great.
that would have been. Yeah, but I didn't know a lot about Barbies or any of the toys or anything, so I didn't get a lot of the references. But
No,
I
I thought the
definitely,
opening to it was brilliant with the 2001: A Space Odyssey reference. Where,
yeah, yeah,
like,
I thought that was
I thought
funny.
that was great. I was like, oh, maybe this movie is going to be awesome. But that turned out to be like the best part of the movie for me.
Yeah, me too. I was just talking about 2001, like literally as the movie was opening up because we passed it on our way to Barbie. I was like, "Oh,
Right?
you never saw that?" I'm talking to my wife. I'm like, "Oh, you never saw that, Kate? We got to watch 2001." And I
Yeah,
start talking about. I was like, "There's this scene in the beginning that shows like the apes using tools for the first time, and it's a
yeah. It's like
really
20 minutes
messed
or
up
something too.
really messed up scene, but like if you know what you're watching, it's something. It's like it's really weird, but it's like
There's no dialogue too in the
no
first part of the movie
dialogue.
too.
Really
It's
strange
really
filmmaking
weird,
style.
but
Like
it's awesome. You can't
it
take your
is.
eyes off it.
I know, and it's iconic. It sticks with you. Like yeah, I won't ever forget that, or the music that played during it. Or
Yeah,
how, or the monkey that won the fight. That's like
yeah.
stands on top. It's like yeah,
Because he used the bone.
yeah,
The tools became a weapon, which
yeah.
is
The
like
tool.
which is the symbolism of the whole thing. You
Yep,
know,
exactly. And that told the whole story. You know what I mean? It really
yeah,
did. It was such a elegant, little segment that was added to
yeah,
it. But
yeah. Well, it's Stanley Kubrick. I mean, all of his movies are pretty great. So
yeah, but it was crazy coincidence. I was just talking about that, and then we started the Barbie movie, and that was the first scene. And I'm like, I
yeah,
was just talking. That was nuts. Yeah, that happens to me all the freaking time. Like I always have
yeah.
those coincidences. But as far as newer movies, I'm trying to think back to some of the other ones I saw. I've seen some shows. I watched that show, Our Flag Means Death. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I've heard of it, and I heard it just got canceled.
It got canceled. Yeah, but probably not for great reasons because it was a pretty good show and it
Yeah, it
was
could
pretty
get picked up
funny.
somewhere else too. That happens a lot these days.
I don't think it will be only because the story's kind of strange. It's great, but it's very uh,
Kilter.
off kilter. It's just not normal at all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Well, it's off kilter. Yeah,
I was looking for a different word, but either way, it's just a little bit strange because the way it I don't know. I don't know. I kind of got lost myself. What was I talking about?
yeah. I don't know. I can't help you out because I haven't seen it, so I don't
No,
know.
what movie was I talking about? Because I just went
Our
off on
flag
a
means
topic in
death.
my head. Huh?
Our flag means death. You were talking about?
Oh yeah, Our Flag Means Death. I started talking about the other show that Taika Waititi, Taika,
Oh yeah. What show is he
What We
doing?
Do in the Shadows, the other one.
Is he involved with that?
Yeah, he's involved with production of it. And
Okay.
yes, and Jermaine Clement is too, like the guys from the original,
Yeah.
those original vampires from
Yeah.
the
Yeah. I
first.
love the original movie,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I haven't really seen much of the show yet.
Well, he comes back. Wakiki comes back as the same character. All those vampires come back in the newer show to the new
Oh,
vampire.
they're in it. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
That's cool.
What's his name? Man, I'm forgetting the actor's name, but one of the vampires is this heavy set British dude that was in it was in the IT Crowd. Uh,
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about. I don't know his name
Look
though.
him up real quick because I got my phone right here. Yeah, he's really funny, and he plays one of the main vampires. And Yeah, man, I'm just losing it, losing the name. But either way, I started talking about this because of the our flag means death. However you say his name, is
I think it's Watiki, I think.
he
Yeah.
plays Blackbeard, and Blackbeard meets that this guy Reese Darby. You know Reese Darby, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. I know
he
him. Yeah.
meets him, and he's this like weird pirate that left his wife, and he starts his own gang of pirates. But they're not pirates; they're just like people that are outcasts, like they're weirdos. And he calls himself the gentleman pirate, and he's like.
Yeah.
He goes around with like tea and like he's like a real gentleman, but he
To
falls
me,
in
it's weird
love
that a
with
pirate even has a wife.
Blackbeard, and they start getting, kind of gay
Oh,
together.
nice.
Yeah, it's a really weird show that takes a twist for the, strange in the first season, but really, really funny. Very, like, it's right up your alley with humor. Like, it's very, lots of irrelevant jokes. You know what I mean? Like, it's a
Yeah.
very
Like
irrelevant.
I really like non sequitur type humor, like
Yeah, it's
just
like What We Do in the Shadows, but with pirates, kind of. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And it shows like how strange actually the lifestyle would be. Like to actually live
yeah,
it, and it shows kind of the things that they would be dealing with, and it's pretty messed up, but it's very funny.
yeah. Yeah, I should check it out.
Oh, it's Matthew Berry, the actor's name. I just
Oh,
thought,
okay.
yeah, he Matt Berry, yeah. You've seen him before. This guy.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he talks with like a very heavy British accent, and he's kind of outlandishly overconfident and stuff. He's really funny in the vampire show, but yeah, he's in it. I'm trying to think of some of the other actors. You probably wouldn't know any of the other actors in it, but yeah, they're all really good, and then they do a good job in it. But
Yeah.
Our Flag Means Death, they took a lot of the same actors from the other productions that they do, and kind of threw them all on the pirate ship. And I think Hodor's in there too.
Oh,
Hodor is,
really?
yeah, some big pirate. He hardly says a word, but
Yeah. Well, he's Hodor.
yeah, it is a very funny show though, and it's definitely like I know I'm sure that I got some friends that are gay that watch it too, because there are a lot of gay people in it, and it's like an LGBTQ, yeah, kind of friendly show, but
Yeah, well, that's good.
all kind of straight people doing it though, which is weird. Like everybody that's
Maybe. Well, we don't know for sure. They might not be.
but yeah, you're right. You're right. I have no idea. But at the same time, it's like it's almost like dude bros playing gay guys. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
yeah, they're not really being like super romantic about it, but they're still loving each other, which is kind of strange. But it's
Yeah.
funny from a comedic standpoint. You know what I mean? It's kind of
Yeah.
it's I don't know. There's
Well,
some.
maybe there would be that sort of thing on a long voyage. There's not many
Oh,
women. You
definitely,
know.
definitely.
You never know.
You never know. Exactly. And who's to say that that's even gay if you're on a boat? I don't know the rules. All right. Yeah, that show was actually a lot of fun. Very funny, but it was kind of with the darker edge to it a little bit. Like bad things kind of can happen and
Yeah, I've
stuff.
heard that. It's like a little bit of a dark comedy in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun with it. And Reese Darby, oh man, he is so funny, dude. He could
Yeah.
he's in this one show called Little Poppies where he plays all these different characters. Write that one down, hey, if you can, like if you could remember to,
Little
or Short
poppies. Yeah.
Poppies. Short Poppies, not Little
Short
Poppies.
poppies. Okay.
Yeah. And he plays all these different roles. And, he plays like one guy, he goes into leg competitions and he plays this one character that like, he's got really good legs. And it's like, that's all he does. He's like tanning his legs and he's like, oh, I got my legs ready for the competition, mate. I'm all ready. Yeah. Like the whole character is all about his legs. Like the whole episode is like half an hour long, but it's very, very mundanely ridiculous. Like very, very
Yeah.
funny. Uh, yeah, let's see. Any other newer movies? Because I couldn't even think of one besides Barbie.
Uh, Geez, I just talked about a bunch and I can't think of them right now.
I saw not too long ago, actually. I might have been back in October. But that Alien movie with that, I think it was on Paramount. It was an alien movie with this girl that somehow fought against the aliens, and aliens like took over her entire town except for her because she was so crazy.
Oh yeah. No One Will Save You. That was
Yeah,
on
yeah,
Hulu. Yeah.
I remember that.
That yeah, I watched that when it came out on Hulu and I did not like it.
I didn't like it either, but it stuck with me. It's
Yeah.
it was kind of a strange one. Like, I
It
didn't.
was such a bizarre ending to the movie.
That's
It's
what I
like,
was
oh,
just
well,
gonna,
you're weird too.
that's what I was gonna bring up. Is like she was worse than the aliens. Like,
Yeah, like she killed somebody.
yeah. And she was worse than them, though. They would leave her alone and let her just do her thing, or at least that was the ending I took
Yeah,
from it.
but it's like, why? Does every person who killed somebody get a free pass from the aliens?
Was that all it was? Just because she killed somebody?
It's because she was an outcast, and the aliens are also
Outcast.
from, it's like it's sort of a more metaphorical thing, and it's just,
Yeah,
it's
she was
Hollywood
just
bullshit,
as
in my
alien as
opinion.
them. Just like
Yeah.
it's funny. Steven Spielberg said about E.T. when he wrote E.T. that the reason he wrote E.T. was because that's what it would take for a kid going through a parent's divorce to care about something else other than a parent's divorce. It would take an alien landing, and,
Yeah, I get
and
it. Yeah,
that's pretty
it was
rough.
also like a nice alien, which you didn't see a lot back then.
Exactly. It,
You
it, it
know,
was like he was imagining what kind of adventure it would take for him because he had to experience that. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
that's a nice direction to write movies. I feel like like if you're gonna
yeah,
write from that perspective, then you're writing almost to a younger version of yourself out there. That you're trying to
yeah, yeah. I
trying to
get that.
and yeah, and I sympathize with that. I totally get that. So
Yeah.
let's see other movies. Hmm. There hasn't been anything new that I've watched. I watched a couple older Arnold movies, uh, Conan 1 and 2, which were
Oh, nice. Yeah,
phenomenal. Except you kind of got me in dangerous territory because you're like, all right, make sure that when you watch this movie, you got nothing to do and you're nice and comfortable and
right.
you're all alone and you're chilled out and yeah, and I might have been chilled out a little bit too much because I watched this and I felt like I was on a freaking different planet. Like he starts
Yeah,
apart this like rubber snake with a sword and
yeah. The movie is way better when you're chilled out. Yeah,
oh my god, I didn't know what was happening though. It was a little bit disturbing because it was like, is this real?
yeah. He cuts a snake's head off, a giant snake, and it's really weird.
What's really
Also,
weird though is that it wasn't like special effects or anything. It was just a rubber snake, and like he's actually chopping this thing with a real sword, you
yeah,
know. It's like the danger involved for the actor, It's like,
yeah.
oh, just the stunt
That
made.
also is the movie that has the best Arnold noises of any Arnold movie. I think he is just like
The scene with the witch doctor where she's like, "Do you want to come on my fire?" And then, and then he's like, "Okay, he just
yeah.
goes
She
in,
was so
and then she
suspicious.
starts like doing them, and she's like, "Ah, ah," and he's like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah," You know, like the noises in that scene alone, like had me in tears. I was crying, laughing, and
I
I'm
love
like,
it, and
what
they
am I
probably had to
watching?
do it in post production too. Like they had to dub it in afterwards, probably.
Whoever checked over it after he was done and was like, yeah, that's
Yeah,
who I want to shake their hand and say, you're awesome, man.
yeah. Well, it was probably John Milius or somebody. I don't know.
Oh my god, yeah. And that movie, I think that the first one might have been better, but than the second one. But the second one
Yeah,
also, it had that narrator guy that was awful but great at the same time. It was like,
yeah.
I
The second one is
forget some.
probably crazier than the
Yeah,
first one. Like,
yeah, yeah.
because you got who's in that movie? Wilt Chamberlain is in the
Will
movie.
Chamberlain, yeah, Will Chamberlain, and what a monster he was,
He
dude!
was massive. He's
Holy
too big to be in
shit!
movies. Like,
I
it's
can't
crazy.
believe, man. Like, you know why he was so good at basketball? Because he was freaking huge. It
Yeah,
has
he's
nothing to
huge.
do with like how athletic the guy was. He was like 2 feet taller than anybody in the league.
Yeah,
Like, dude, that guy
it's
just like
crazy.
walked up
And
and
you
put it
really
in.
do see it in the movie too. Like
Oh my
they don't
goodness.
hide it at all. He's just a giant.
He's so remarkably big next to Arnold, who looks big on film. And Arnold's not, he's only what, like 5'9" or 5'10" or something? Like,
No, I think he's over 6 feet, but not by
I don't think
much.
so. Yeah, I really don't think so. I'm
No,
curious now.
I'm curious now too, but uh he's way shorter than Will Chamberlain, that's for sure. And
Yeah.
he's obviously shorter than Andre the Giant. There's a picture of him with Andre the Giant, and I think he's much way shorter than Andre. Well, I guess everyone is, but you
Yeah.
know,
Andre the Giant, yeah, he was a monster too. I put in how tall is AR, and Ariana Grande's 5'1". That came in already. Like I didn't even put in Arnold.
well, we have that information.
How tall is Arnold? Oh yeah, he is 6'2". Okay. Wow. You're right. I thought he was
That
short.
could be an actor's 6'2", though. He might only be like 6 feet. So who knows? You know, like because I think Stallone is
Stallone's
they say
short.
he's like 5'10" or something
Yeah.
like that, and I think he's much shorter than that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I thought Stallone was actually a shorter guy because
Yeah, he is. I think.
yeah,
I don't think he's as short as like Tom Cruise or something like that, but he is pretty short. You know.
yeah. Yeah, it's kind of funny. My brother, when he was little, tells we got a story on tape of my brother telling a story, and he's like, once upon a time, Rocky Balboa came to my house, but he was so tall that he hit his head trying to come in the front door. The end. And it was like that's the whole story. He was like 5 or 6, but it was a good one. But he thought Rocky was really tall, according to
Yeah,
like
it was a gingerbread house. That's what.
yeah, or yeah, just lived in a very small house.
Yeah, it was a hobbit house.
Yeah. Speaking of Hobbit houses, I watched Lord of the Rings again. I always watch it probably once a
I
year.
just watched the Fellowship of the Ring like last week too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Fellowship is my favorite of all of them.
I think it's my favorite too. Yeah,
It's funny. It happens to me a lot where the favorite in, well, it's not with Star Wars, but it used to be. New Hope used to be my favorite, you know.
yeah,
But I really think Empire Strikes Back has taken that just because of the older I've gotten, the better the second movie is to me for some reason.
yeah. I agree with that.
But I really think that the beginning of the journey, especially when it's a great journey like that with a setup like Lord of the Rings, is part of is the most exciting part a lot of times.
Yeah,
Like it's like the most to lose and the most to gain. In the middle of the story, you're kind of bridging the gap between the beginning and the end. And
yeah,
there could be plenty of instances or circumstances that you could set up great events in the middle, but I
yeah.
love the
And
setup of the first
the
one.
setup is what makes everything else that comes after it good. You know, without the
Yeah,
setup, you got nothing. You
yeah,
know, without
and
the
like
setup,
the
you've got
end.
the new Star Wars trilogy, basically.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I even like the Force Awakens, except halfway through the movie, I didn't feel like Han Solo was acting like himself for one.
Yeah, that was a big problem for me too. Like, why is Han Solo a deadbeat dad? Like,
Yeah.
what?
Well, it's not even the deadbeat dad part. It's like he didn't change his ways from being a smuggler ever, you know?
Yeah, well, he did in the original trilogy, but then it's
I
like
know.
he regressed, and it's like, why would that have happened? You
That's
know?
also yeah, that wasn't believable to me in the first Star Wars movie. It's like the inconsistency of Han Solo's behavior too, like, and that he would
Yeah,
latch on to Ray, like, and be like, "Hey, you want a job with me?" You know,
yeah,
like, what?
yeah. It's silly. It's like it was like he was how he was in the first movie.
Yeah,
It's like he went all the way
he
back to
went all
that.
the way back. Yeah, all the way back to like his. Well, I guess you can argue that it was Ben's
Yeah,
darkness that
but
made
it's
him.
even more depressing because his son is evil. His wife doesn't talk to him anymore. He doesn't even have his ship anymore. And,
Mhm.
like he doesn't even have the Millennium Falcon in that movie. It's like, oh my God, Han Solo is got to be like on some kind of watch right
Yeah.
now because he's gonna end it all if he's not.
I'm just so glad, like I gotta say, as a kid, I used to be annoyed with this because Captain Kirk is one of my favorite characters in fantasy, up there
Mine
with
too.
Captain Picard. And you know where I'm going with this. You know
Yeah.
exactly where I'm going with this. Han Solo would get his ass kicked by Captain Kirk. I stand by that statement to this day. I got my ass kicked by Chris Roach. Hey, Chris Roach, that's for you, buddy.
You
Go
got your
fuck
ass kicked
yourself.
by him because of me, though. Like,
Well, Ed, don't blame yourself. I'm
no,
blaming,
well,
I'm
it's my
blaming
fault
Han Solo.
because it was that argument. You were not even involved that much in the argument. It
Yeah,
was,
but Ed, you're my best friend. I'm not going to let you fight somebody way bigger than you. Even if he's bigger than me,
you
I'll
should
get
have
my
though.
ass
You
kicked
should have.
for you. I'll get my ass kicked. It's all right. It happens. Yeah,
This
and
is going back to like
I
what
definitely
what
needed
is
that
this?
ass
Seventh
kicking.
grade, eighth grade?
Yeah, yeah. But you know what? Seventh grade, there's nothing better to fight over than Han Solo and Captain Kirk. Who's going to win in a fight? You tell me.
Well, that was
Anybody
in a movie.
that's
It was
watching this
in Free
broadcast,
Enterprise. Was it?
say in the comments who you think would win, Captain Kirk or Han Solo, and a
Well,
real, just man to man, like no weapons, just fight. Who's
well,
going to
how
win?
often have we actually seen Han Solo fight without a gun?
Or running away. That's his usual tactic.
Yeah,
Like he runs
yeah.
at
Like
them like
we don't
scary,
see
and then
Han Solo fight anybody. We see Captain Kirk fight everybody. Like,
yeah,
yeah,
he fights the Gorn, man.
yeah,
He fights the Gorn.
yeah,
The Gorn sitting there just watching me all the time.
yeah,
No, but yeah, that original argument, I really don't think Han Solo would be able to stay. Like he's not much of a captain, as like Captain Kirk is at the command of a much larger vessel with people that he actually has to worry about. He's just
yeah.
got his, Wookiee that takes care of himself. Also, you know what I mean? Like, so he's not really in command nearly as much as Kirk.
Yeah,
And
well, to me, I think Harrison Ford is like kind of right when he talks about Han Solo. His character arc is done when the
yeah,
end of the first movie happens. It's over.
it is. It is.
Like,
Well, yeah, his character. Where are you going to go from there unless you're
well, they struggled
retooling
to
it?
have him do stuff, especially after the second one. He in Return of the Jedi, he has nothing to do. They
Yeah,
might as well just let him die.
they should have just kept him frozen in carbonite and kept him frozen. And then at the end, they're trying to go get him still. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
let that be the the kind of thread or undotted I or whatever like let that be the
yeah,
one that you leave off loose. But like what I was bringing up before is I'm so grateful, man. Captain Kirk had such a great character arc. Like
yeah,
watching
yeah.
Generations
Especially in the
again, like
movies.
I hated Generations as a kid because I didn't like that they killed Kirk, but the way that they killed Kirk was great. It was like
Yeah,
that's the way he should go out. He should go out in a fight, not sick in bed or like
I like that
not
he
getting
kind of gets
killed
his
by his
mojo back.
son.
You know,
Like Han Solo gets killed by his son that turned evil. Give me a break. Like you
yeah,
can't make
that
up a
happened for no
worse
reason.
ending, huh?
That happened for no reason. I remember arguing with people like, why did they kill Han Solo like that in the movie? And like, don't worry, they're gonna show you why it happened in the sequels, and they never did.
Nope.
They never made anything. They never gave it a purpose. His death. It was
They just
just
made it made
shock
me
value.
hate the Ben character that much more. It made me
Yeah,
just be like, what, like, why would you?
but
And
that's
then
fine. Then
at the
make him a
third
villain.
movie,
Then make him a
when they
villain. Don't give him redemption.
yeah,
But they
when
didn't
they
do
turn
that.
him good in the third one, who
Yeah,
cares? He killed his
it's like
father.
you killed Han Solo. Fuck you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you killed one of the biggest heroes for no reason, you
Yeah,
know?
and he tried to kill his mom too. It was a Mary Poppins miracle that he didn't kill his mother.
Yeah.
It's just
All
so bad that he
right.
had a redemption arc. It's so stupid.
What was the latest Star Wars movie? Was there
Oh, the last one that came out. It's been a while. Was it the Solo movie? It might have been the Han Solo movie.
Yeah, it might have been. Actually, I didn't mind that, you know?
Yeah, I
It,
didn't like it. I didn't like the Han Solo movie at all.
I didn't mind it, but I didn't feel like Han Solo was like really as much like Harrison Ford. But I did kind of like the characters. I like Woody Harrelson. I liked Amelia Clark.
I like them too. Yeah, but what
Like
I
I
didn't like about it was that if you're going to go free A New Hope, Han Solo, he can't be a nice guy.
Yeah,
He can't
you're right.
be he's just this sweet guy who's trying to help his girlfriend in the
I
movie.
know. I
That's
know.
not Han Solo. Free A New
Well,
Hope.
yeah, you're right. That is a good point.
Like
I would say
he's
that
a scoundrel. He's a
he
borderline bad guy
he
when we
is.
meet him in A New Hope. You know?
That's what he's supposed to be, and that's his charm. Like
Yeah,
that is what makes him so unique. He's more of an anti-hero than a real hero.
right, exactly. And his arc makes him go from an anti-hero to a hero. And
Yep.
that is completed in the first movie, basically, when he comes back and saves Luke.
Yeah, exactly. At the end of the first movie. So at the end of that, he didn't have much room to grow.
Right. The second one, it's just romance for him. For
Yeah,
him, it's the Leia thing, which is
yeah,
good. It's good stuff. But after that, there's not much, with Han Solo, unfortunately.
yeah, yeah. I thought the whole Leia romance was actually kind of weird, even as a kid, because
Well, because of Luke, right?
yeah,
Like because Luke is involved.
a little bit. Yeah, that was a little bit strange. But
Yeah,
have you watched the newer show Andor at all?
I haven't seen it, and everyone tells me to watch it. It's supposed to be good. Have you seen it?
No, I was gonna give it a shot though, because like I definitely won't ever give up on Star Wars, I don't think, no matter how much they try to stomp it out,
Yeah,
or other people try to make money off of it or whatever. Like, you and I were Star Wars fans since, fourth grade,
yeah,
fifth grade,
yeah.
like, and
It's
we
going
used to
back a
watch the
while. For
originals
us,
on
there was only
VHS.
those three movies. That was it.
Yeah. Those were
And then
some
the,
of the
the
only
prequels.
movies I owned, like I
Yeah,
had just those, and they were like, I had a VCR and a TV in my room, and I'd watch that like almost every weekend. I'd put on like all three movies.
yeah. You had a like a tape deck VHS copier, and were copied the VHS movie for me
Yeah,
as a kid. Yeah. So
yeah,
that's how I originally owned it, was your copy of the movie.
you're welcome. Yeah.
Thank you. And it was great because it's rare because that was before the special edition came out,
Oh, I know.
and they added a lot of CGI stuff, which a lot of people don't like. I like some of it. I don't like other parts of it, but I
Yeah,
like Han shooting second.
when it first came out, when we were in sixth grade, that was the greatest. Like
Yeah,
being able to see those on the big screen again. It
that
was.
was amazing. It was amazing to go to the theater and see a Star Wars movie. They
I
should
know.
do it. They should do it every couple of years. Release those movies again. You
Why
know?
not? Why not?
Yeah,
They should do the same kind of thing with Lord of the Rings or Monty Python, or like they used to
yeah,
do that in Ohio at one of these. It was like a movie house that had a brewery. It was like a beer garden movie house, and they
yeah.
served food. But they'd have Monty Python on once a month and Rocky's Horror Picture Show like another
Yeah, they
weekend.
should bring back drive-ins too. That would be kind of fun to
Really,
experience
I,
because that
I
we
thought
never got to experience that.
thought with COVID that would totally bring drive-ins back. Like I
Yeah, I
thought.
think they tried it in some places. They brought it back. They had like drive-in like shows, like plays and shit like that.
Yeah, these days they can do cool things like just hand out a little Bluetooth speaker instead of having
Yeah,
you tune in on your radio to, like
Yeah,
whatever,
exactly.
and like that would be easier and
It'd
better
be
for
so much easier. Yeah.
yeah, that would be cool. Like
Yeah, because I feel like nobody's really going to theaters as much as they used to, even after COVID,
I was just gonna
because it's
say,
just like super expensive
can you think of
and
the
it's
last movie you saw?
it might have been John Wick 4
Oh
in
wow.
theaters. The last one I saw was probably maybe Guardians of the Galaxy 3,
Okay.
maybe. It's I it was this year, but it's been a few months.
Yeah, you go more often than I do. Last one I saw, I think, was Spider-Man last year.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And yeah, after that, I wanted to go see that movie Creator not too long ago with what's his name? Washington, Denzel's son. John, I think
Oh
his
yeah,
name.
you mentioned
John
him
Washington.
from Tenet, right?
Tenet. Yeah, he's good, man. And I really enjoyed Tenet too. That movie was pretty messed up. But
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I got to check it
really?
out.
Oh, that's right. I remember last time I was telling you that. Yeah,
Yeah,
Tenet.
it's that's
Uh,
Christopher Nolan made that, right? Yeah,
yeah.
I kind of am wishy-washy with him. I don't, there's a lot of movies of his that I don't end up liking, you know?
This is another one of those that you're going to be wishy-washy with. I can guarantee. Because it's such a weird premise for a movie, but it's so awesome. Like I love it. They're able to get objects to travel backwards through time. So
Oh, okay.
they can put things through a time machine, and then their entropy is reversed. You know,
Well,
it,
why do they do that? What's the advantage
so
to that?
like when he goes to drop a bullet on the table, the bullet comes off
Oh,
the table into his hand. You know,
oh, okay.
so it's
So it's
really
like,
weird. And he's like, "How did I do that?" And it's like, "Well, you dropped the bullet on the table." And he's like, "No, I didn't." And he's like, "Not yet." And then like the bullet goes up into his hand or whatever. It's like really messed up. It doesn't make any sense. And
it's almost like Bill and Ted logic where he brings in the garbage can because he thought of it.
kind of it's like the whole movie, but it goes even deeper than that, man. It gets really it turns into a little bit of a mind fuck of a movie, like
All
because
right, well, that's the kind of movie I like.
the guy in charge, to sum it up and not ruin any surprises, the guy kind of that found out about this technology, right? He found it buried by somebody in a nuclear site where he was paid just to get rid of toxic waste. So he was being
Okay.
paid $100,000 a month or something crazy to go investigate this or clean up this nuclear waste area. And he finds this package left for him, possibly from the future, right, with this technology. And this technology was designed to end the world, kind of, you
Oh,
know,
wow. Okay.
yeah, to make
But
it
he
go
doesn't know
back
what it is because
to make it go
he
back to
hasn't
the
done it yet.
beginning, because it'll travel, time will keep going back to the beginning until it goes back to the source. And then, like when they pick up all the pieces of the technology, then that's the end of time, like
Yeah.
they can't. So it gets really weird. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's really good and very, very awesome, like storytelling ability. Even if it doesn't make 100% sense, it's a cool
Yeah.
way of looking at things that I think you'll enjoy it. Yeah,
Yeah. I
like
got to check it out.
you'll
My
have some
favorite
problems.
Christopher Nolan movie is probably Memento. I've always liked
Oh,
that one. And that's a
oh
mind
man,
fuck kind of thing.
that's a powerful movie. Like I feel like
Yeah.
that really is another movie I think about. I've thought about getting a tattoo backwards on my chest a couple times just to remind myself, like
Remind yourself. Yeah.
like grocery list or something, like
Yeah.
like,
Because it's scary. Like if you had a memory like that, that would be a scary existence.
yeah, well, I mean, I've lived in that. Like I talked about my motorcycle accident,
Yeah.
and I had another motorcycle accident after that, about 2 years, maybe 3 years ago, and it was almost just as bad. So,
Crazy.
yeah, it
That's
was
I,
pretty.
yeah.
So my
You're lucky to
memory
be
over
alive.
that time, I could totally relate with that. Like my memory was not there, man. Only up until like when we first started doing the show, I was having a hard time staying with it, like as
Yeah.
far as my cognitive abilities. And now I'm there. Yeah. And even before I got distracted thinking about, like our flag means death, and like
Yeah.
that's a concussion symptom, man. that's
Yeah.
that happens, every now and then, like it just draws a blank up there because like I connected too many pieces, and it's just like it farts
Yeah.
out. And yeah, I can totally relate with Guy Pearce's character in Memento, how he didn't, have the ability, but he did have like the willpower to keep going, and not give
Yeah,
up. Like
yeah.
it just,
He just had such a method to figuring out things
yeah,
because he had been so used to it for so long,
exactly. And
which was great.
that's what it's the greatest part of the movie is that like he's doing this to himself. You know what I mean? Like this whole time, and
Yeah,
like the end of the movie, like it kind of sums up the fact that
yeah. And it's amazing how many people are taking advantage of him, like
yeah,
the Joe Pantoliano character, or what?
yeah,
Yeah, he
yeah.
was great in that movie.
Oh, he's an awesome actor, man. He was
Yeah,
really
he's
great.
awesome. Cypher, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, what a chameleon, dude. Like he can go from Cypher, and
Yeah,
Cypher also to me is one of the greatest characters in any fantasy. We're talking about
yeah,
Cypher from the Matrix,
yeah.
obviously, and
Cypher, you can make an argument that he's even right.
he is.
I could sympathize with that so much. Like
He
so
is
many
right.
of us would just do what he would do,
Well,
in that situation.
you can't say he's wrong. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like he was right. That Morpheus was wrong. Morpheus was trying to get
Well, it just
everybody
seems
to
so hopeless. So
live in Zion, which Zion was. Look at my shirt.
yeah,
Zion.
yeah,
Coincidence. Yeah, he tries to get everybody to live in Zion, and Zion was like poor people. They're struggling to feed everybody. They didn't have water. Like there, it was like freaking the Stone Age. And meanwhile, they're trying to free people from a virtual paradise. To live
well,
in
it is for some people, and it was going to be for him because he made a deal, right? So,
exactly.
uh, but a lot of people would take that deal, or you're just going to spend the rest of your life fighting and probably lose anyway,
Exactly. Yeah, Cipher was he was looking out for himself there. And
Yeah,
everybody else wasn't looking out for themselves. They're looking out for everybody else.
right. They had a much more altruistic, and that's
Yeah,
why they're the heroes,
yeah. That's
But
Cipher was a hero to me because he stood up for what he believed in, even though it
yeah, I don't
screwed
know if I
everybody
would go
else
so far
over.
as to say he's a hero, but I definitely understand where he's coming from.
I think he's kind of a badass because he was like he was picked up by Morpheus, and
Yeah.
like Morpheus was kind of trying to convert him into, and he wasn't converted, man. Like he was always strong, like
Yeah, well, the assumption is that every human is going to be on your side, and that's not true. It's
yeah,
it's never been
exactly,
true.
yeah. Because I mean, technically, we created the AI, the computer. We could have more in common with them than our fellow man. Like
Right,
some of us could have more in common with freaking Bard than we do, our next door neighbor. Like
right.
me, I got way more in common with my computer AI than I do with cigarette lady outside that I got as my little my sitcom character that lives
Your
in my
neighbor.
backyard. I mean,
Yeah.
I showed you earlier, but I'll show everybody on the stream here just how committed I am to my privacy. I got this lady that lives in my backyard, and like she really lives in my backyard. Her window's always open. She smokes a cigarette, so I put up one section of fence, just one, right there where her window is. So I don't gotta look at her stupid face anymore. It's been 3-4 years, and yesterday I put it up. It was the first day I sat out in my backyard naked as a bear. I just sat out there and I was like doing some yoga or something. I don't even know what I'm doing, but it felt good to do it, and
It feels like you're doing weirder things than she is.
definitely, I just don't want to watch it me. Like I know I'm doing weird shit. Now I go
But
out
I
there,
wonder if she's going to wonder, like, hey, why is there just one section of fence in my
oh,
line of sight now?
well, I'm a funny guy. I will have something creative to say to that. I don't care. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you can just
I
say
was
you like
already
the look of
telling
it.
my wife's planning on growing vines in there, like grapevines or maybe some melons or sweet potatoes, anything like that.
I don't blame you because it is just like this chain link short, like 3 foot fence in your yard. It's
Yeah.
like most people have more of a fence than that, more privacy than that.
And they
So
got like a little terrier dog that just jumps out the window at any given point and barks at my dogs. So it's like they're always at the fence.
Yeah, but your
This
dogs are
isn't going to
big.
stop them from barking, but it will stop them from seeing the dog jump out the window right away now. They'll
Yeah,
see him at the fence now, and maybe they'll be a little bit more accommodating and be like, "Oh, hello there," rather
yeah,
than,
yeah,
yeah.
maybe. I hope
Being
so.
really stupid lately, though. But anyway, all right. Let's see. We got another thingy here, but we've been on for a little while, so probably won't be
Yep.
on too much longer. Do you have a timer on there or no? Because I don't have a timer
No, I
on
think
mine.
it's been over an hour and a half though.
Oh boy. All right.
I
Well,
think.
we'll go into the streaming shows a little bit. I've been watching Jack Reacher lately that I enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Uh,
haven't started that yet. I saw the first season, but I haven't seen the second season.
oh, okay. At the second season, he goes into a little bit of like how he met his team and stuff like that, and
Okay.
he got like a special investigation team together that they used to do cases together.
Yeah, I'm trying to think that actor, who was he? He was in Smallville, right?
Yeah, he was Aquaman, dude, and he was
That's
also
right.
in Blue Mountain State. He
That's
was
right. He
he's
was
sad,
right. Yeah.
and you know why his
Jeez,
name's
this far
Thad,
back.
right?
That's right. Holy shit.
He had a list, and his dad was at war, and the other kids at class were like, "What's your name?" And he's like, "Well, my dad's away at war, so I'm sad." And it's like, "You're sad?" Yeah, because he
Yeah.
couldn't say S's.
So sad is his name, but it's just Thad. Like,
And then he's like, I told everyone I was sad because my dad went to war and they called me sad after that to make fun of me. So I took that name as my own.
yeah.
It was like, he owned that name forever because of that.
Yeah.
That was
With
kind of
Reacher though, I like the first season, but it's almost like, and the movies had this problem too. I thought he's too good, like he's just too like invulnerable, like
yeah. Yeah.
he's like a superhero almost.
Oh, Jack Reacher?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I thought you were talking about Sad for a second. I'm like, Sad is a superhero, bro.
yeah,
Like, that
he was the
character is
best player
great.
on defense.
He had a bottle of rabies that he took before games.
I don't remember that.
Oh yeah, and Pete from Smallville stole his rabies, thinking it was steroids, and
Wait,
he's like, you
Pete
took
from
my
Smallville?
rabies, and he's like, you have rabies, and he's like, you took my rabies, and
Wait a
like,
minute, wait. Pete from Smallville was in Blue Mountain State also?
yeah, yeah,
Oh wow, I don't even remember that. That's
yeah,
crazy.
he was a
It's been so
running
long
back
since
or
I watched
whatever.
it. I watched it when it was first new, when it first came out.
That's a funny show. It's got a lot of funny jokes in it, but it's like
Yeah.
college style humor, like it's
Yeah, it was very like sort of an Animal House style show, like
yeah,
with
yeah,
football.
but football, yeah, and it kind of shows like that college lifestyle a little bit,
Yeah,
it does kind of accurately nail it down, But
yeah.
yeah, that I thought that show was pretty funny. There were a lot of good parts in it. But yeah, Jack Reacher, he is like he's a lot like James Bond or
Jack,
Tom
Jack.
Clancy.
Oh, Jack Ryan.
Jack Ryan, yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's exactly the same character almost, except he's well, not as Jack Ryan, more like James Bond. He's like
yeah.
like American James Bond mixed with Jack Ryan. Like
Right. Or like Mission Ethan Hunt, kind of like that.
yeah, yeah, a
So,
lot. Well, I don't know. Ethan, I feel like is a lot more James Bondish. He's
yeah,
a lot more in the black ops kind of shit. I like the way Jack Reacher is doing it because he's more of like a freelance. Like anybody in
yeah.
trouble is going to help.
That's one thing I love about the show is that he's like this nomadic guy who just
Dude,
moves around.
it
It
gets
reminds
even
me of
worse.
the Incredible Hulk TV show,
Yeah,
where he
yeah.
like,
In this next season, dude, he comes up to like he sees a lady and she's at an ATM and she's shaking, and he's like, "Fuck." And he goes up to her and he's like, "You just got carjacked, didn't you?" And she's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna take care of this. You just stand still."
but how does he know that?
He looked at the
He
car,
just
saw
knows.
her at the ATM, and she's grabbing money for the guy in the car. So
Yeah.
he just like it's like stay there, just keep taking the money out. And he like just walks up to the car, he grabs the guy's head, smashes it against the windshield, throws him out of the car, and then goes up to the lady, walks her to the car, puts her in there, like kicks the guy in the head or some shit, you know, like, and he's like, have a good day. And she's like, thank you so much. What's your name? And he's like, or who are you? And he's like, somebody that doesn't want to get involved. And he just walks away. He's like,
If he really
it's
didn't want to
awesome.
get involved, he wouldn't have gotten involved.
I know, but he's doing what's got to be done. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
nobody else is
Yeah.
going to do it.
He's like a superhero that goes around
Yeah.
saving the day, you know?
Oh, well, I mean, he's a little more real, a little more realistic because, like, that's what a real person should do. You know, like,
Yeah.
that's
But
what
they
I'd love to
really
see a
don't.
real person do. You know,
Oh, well, a
but
real person probably wouldn't know right away that
oh
she'd
yeah,
been carjacked.
they wouldn't suspect that a problem like that would, you know, like
Yeah, like, come
be
on.
the first thing. You know,
That's like psychic powers.
yeah, yeah, that is, and in fact, he's got like psychic powers. It seems like throughout the show because he's able to
Yeah.
read different situations, and he's almost too good. But it's fun to watch. You know, like
Yeah,
I
but I
enjoy it.
remember in the first season, like people were kind of like, at least they were amazed about what he was able to do. Like, who the
Yeah,
fuck are you? Like, how are you? You
yeah,
know?
yeah. That's
So it was
how
like
the
at least
season
they're a
is
little
so
bit
far.
aware of it, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course, and yeah, that's what makes the show so fun. I feel like, but
Yeah.
trying to think of other shows that I've gotten into on other services. On Netflix, I can't think of any shows that I was into recently.
Yeah, I haven't watched many shows recently. I've mostly been watching movies.
I watched the Ricky Gervais stand up
Oh
recently.
yeah?
That was very good, and also the Dave Chappelle stand up, which was phenomenal. Both of them
Okay.
were out of this world good, but
I haven't seen either one.
they both had very, very offensive jokes to some people, probably. But
Well,
that's
that's kind of what they do, those
isn't
guys.
that yeah, isn't that comedy? You know, like that's what it's supposed to be. So yeah, I'm sure people are going to be really, you know, up in arms about it. But you know, the jokes and the point of the show was pretty phenomenal and pretty well done. You know,
Yeah,
for
I
both of them.
haven't seen either one. It's been a while since I watched any stand up. I'm not really, I don't know, it takes me effort to like put on a stand up. I'm not naturally drawn to it.
Yeah, I like the art of it. You know, like I don't like the like lack of content. You know, I don't like somebody just standing up there talking if they're not going to make it fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like
I'm more into older stand up. I feel like
yeah,
the
me
George
too.
Carlin specials and Richard
Bill Hicks,
Pryor.
some of the older
Yeah,
yeah,
was those are sort of still great, I think, you know.
yeah. Well,
I
I'm
also love it
really into
when stand-up comics they end up in movies, like Rodney Dangerfield, you know, like
yeah, yeah, like Rodney Dangerfield or Sam Kinison. You know,
yeah,
he was in that movie too.
yeah,
Back to School with Rodney.
that's right, yeah.
Yeah,
And
like those guys. I don't know. Like like I think there's an art form to it. Obviously, just like any other presentation, performing art, like acting or singing or you know, like
oh,
dancing.
definitely, yeah. It's definitely it's all performance, really. Like
Yeah,
it's like anything else, you know.
yeah. And I
Um,
feel like Ricky and Dave, as far as like stand up, there's nobody really on par with them. You know, like
well,
in
they're
America.
two of the biggest in the world,
Yeah,
especially
if you
right
could
now.
try to think of anybody bigger than Dave Chappelle, be my guest, man. Like uh Joe
It's tough,
Rogan.
you know. Kevin Hart's pretty big. He's
Yeah,
up there.
it's kind of crazy that you know, like Kevin Hart got such a humble beginning. He came from Reno 911, you know.
Yeah, he was going on one episode, which is pretty funny.
Yeah, and he yeah playing a non-rhyming rapper. That was his first role. But yeah, it was a very funny guy, and I still think he is funny, but he's not as edgy as he used to be. He used to be edgy. Like one of the jokes he told early stand up was like, "One thing I'm going to make sure is my son never going to be gay." You know, he's like, and it's
Was
like
that him? I thought that was who got in trouble for that?
that was him. That was him. He got in trouble for saying he's not going to if he finds or he's
Did
going to
it
just
really?
put
I thought that was someone. Wait, no.
was a
Yes,
joke.
because didn't he get the Oscars taken away from him? He was going to host
Maybe.
the Oscars,
Yeah, yeah,
and they found that he
yeah.
had done some anti-gay jokes or something like that.
Yep. Yeah, and
But
it was
I thought
a
that
joke.
was
Like
who am I thinking of? Who's the guy from Saturday Night Live? The guy who played Brian Fellows.
oh, Tracy Morgan.
Tracy Morgan. Yeah, I thought he had some offensive joke that he was. Well, I guess it's hard to tell who's
I don't
done
know.
what these days.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not sure, but
Yeah, I don't know either.
I do think you will appreciate those guys' stand-up acts. The last couple that I saw, but
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. As far as streaming shows, trying to think of any sci-fi shows I've seen recently. Uh,
I haven't seen any really.
yeah,
The
yeah,
last show that I watched was probably Invincible, and
yeah.
that was like months ago.
I watched Invincible too. I was pretty blown away by it actually. I couldn't believe. Well, it took me a little bit to get into the animation. If
Yeah,
anybody has watched Invincible, they'll know what I'm talking about. But by the end of the first episode, yeah, I was drawn in and ready to watch the rest of the show.
yeah,
But the whole first episode, it took me getting into because I didn't like the animation. I didn't like anything really like that. And then at the end, where he murdered his whole team, it kind of showed the direction of the show, and what he
yeah.
was going to do.
It sort of became a more grown-up animated show. Like it seems like it's going to be like just a regular superhero show, and then that happens.
I thought it was going to be more like X-Men, and
Yeah,
and then that happened, and it turned out to be all about Omni-Man. It's all about him. J.K. Simmons' character. So,
yeah, and he's a character in Baldur's Gate also.
oh
I don't know
really?
if you I don't know
No,
if you met him yet, but he
no.
plays a really, really bad guy.
Oh, I watched a weird show with him actually not too long ago, called in I think it was called The Night Sky, and it was on Amazon. Uh he and his wife, I might have talked about it with you a little bit. He and his wife find in their
Yeah,
backyard,
you did mention it. Yeah,
yeah, they find like a portal to another planet, almost like a Stargate. And
right.
it's just an observatory, like a bubble sitting on an alien moon, and they could just look out at the planet is orbiting and like the strange landscape and stuff. But it's more about like human drama than it is about this sci-fi thing. It's more like a dark secret they're trying to keep from everybody finding out, which is
Yeah,
weird. It's not the focus of the show, so yeah, I don't know. I'm really looking forward to a good sci-fi show. I'm hoping that Strange New Worlds comes back. I did enjoy the Strange New Worlds episodes that I had seen Star Trek this
yeah,
past year, but I think that was
yeah. I
in.
saw a couple of them. I haven't seen the whole season yet.
You saw the Kirk one though, right?
Yes, I did. Yeah,
Yeah, that was a good one. That almost reminded
it
me of.
was. I actually thought that one was all right. Yeah,
I thought it was like City on the Edge of Forever a little bit. It was like
yeah, a little bit.
their
There's
version of it.
I think more than a little inspiration from that. I thought,
Yeah, yeah. And I like that they brought Khan into it and actually made Khan Indian. That was great.
yeah, that was a nice touch because
It
he's
was a
he's never
nice.
been Indian, especially when
He's always been Indian, but he's never been Indian.
yeah, it's really silly,
Yeah,
especially when they had Benedict comes a lot or whatever he said.
and
Like
it comes a bunch.
comes a bunch, yeah, yeah. That was not a good casting
Yeah. Wait. Comes a bunch for who? Which casting?
for Khan when he played
Oh, for
Khan.
Khan. I
I
forgot
thought
that
you
he
were saying who's he
cast.
coming for?
I'm like for Doctor Strange. What have we talking about other
No,
roles?
no, he played Khan
I
in
totally
the
forgot he played
Chris
Khan.
Pine Star
I
Trek
don't even
movies. Yeah,
consider that like Star Trek really. Like as much as I enjoyed it, it's just like a total different
I,
version. Like once they
yeah,
destroyed Vulcan, JJ, JJ, what are you doing? Like stupid JJ Abrams, man. Why did he have to bend over Star Wars and then Star Trek or Star Trek and then Star Wars? Like,
it's amazing how he's done that to both. Like,
yeah. South Park made a really funny joke where they're like, because they had people kneeling for the national anthem a couple years ago. Remember that uh,
yeah,
in
yeah,
football? So he's
right.
like,
More
we're
than a couple
going
of
to
years
have
ago. But yeah,
J.J. Abrams has changed the national anthem. So now you can stand or kneel to honor our or sit to honor our our anthem. And that was the only change he made. It's like so people were like standing and sitting and kneeling. They didn't know what to do because they didn't want to honor
so
it.
just because
Like
J.J. Abrams said it, that
yeah,
makes whatever you decide to do
yeah. That was
unjudgeable.
they had J.J. Abrams rewrite it, and that was all the only change he made.
That's great.
Yeah, but that's kind of what he did with Star Wars and Star Trek. He tried to make it more accessible to the younger audiences, I think. But
Yeah, and I also think that he didn't know where it was going when he started. Like
yeah,
he just started it and he didn't know how it was going to end, which is kind of his MO. When you think about it, if you go
yeah.
all the way back to Lost, it's like great premise, great idea,
You nailed it. You really did. You nailed it. That's exactly what
no fucking clue where it's going. You know?
he totally knows how to start a mysterious story.
Yeah. Well, he loves
Anybody
that. He's actually talked about that. He calls it a mystery box,
anybody
and
can
it's
do
like,
that. All you got to do is just leave out details. It's not that fucking hard to make a
yeah,
mystery.
exactly. That's all
You
you have
know,
to do is not explain anything.
Yeah,
You know?
tell a story and then take out all the major details, and there you go. You got yourself a J.J. Abrams mystery. You know,
Exactly.
that's a good point. All right,
Yeah,
well,
it's like he could have done Game of Thrones. He would have been perfect for that. Just
oh my
perfect
god,
start, bad ending.
oh man, you got me started on another topic now. Before we wrap up, I think we should wrap up sometime soon. But I've been getting messages from all these scammers, all kinds of scammers I've talked about over the last couple of
You
weeks.
message them that you're like encouraging it.
Yeah. All right. So either way, I've been talking to one guy that says he's George R. R. Martin, right?
Uh,
And George R. R.
could be,
Martin is like,
could be him.
he's like, please talk to me. I wish I could meet more people like you. I really like you. And I'm like, why would you bother somebody like me? Leave me
I don't
alone.
remember. I don't remember George R. R. Martin being so inarticulate.
Dude, this guy writes with the worst grammar, and he calls me dear at the end of every sentence. It's like, it's so apparent that they're scamming. It's like, how stupid do you have to be to
Yes,
fall?
I need money to finish the books.
Yeah, he's like, I just want to finish the Winds of Winter. No, but yeah, he was messaging me and telling me, like, he's like, I'm so glad to have good fans like you. And I'm like, I'm not even a good fan. Like, I like your stories, all right, but they kind of pissed me off.
Your story.
Yeah. Yeah. But either way, I had him messaging me, and it got me kind of thinking a little bit about Game of Thrones and the ending. What I would have done. Here we go again.
We could do a whole show on that.
Suspected scam all over again, calling me again. Yeah, we could do a whole show on that, but like I feel with the ending, if you had to make one simple change to the end or an addition to the story, now, which would you choose to do and why?
Oh man, that's so tough. I mean, there's so much I would change. It's like it's hard to narrow it down
Well,
to just one thing.
if you could do one major change, one major change or one major addition, to the story, what would you
Oh,
do?
I think they needed to explain more with the White Walkers. I feel like they didn't get any backstory at all, and they were defeated before the end of the show. There's like a couple episodes after they get
I
defeated,
know, I know.
and it's like,
They were the
what are
ultimate
you
enemy.
doing?
And it's like to go back to fighting Cersei after fighting them is
Yeah,
stupid.
like Cersei's the big bad guy.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying. Like,
Yep.
give me a break.
Yeah.
Cersei and Daenerys turned out to be the bad guy too.
I know.
Like,
I know.
it's
I,
just
I kind
I
of
just feel like
I hated that too because it's like she was the paragon character. You know what I mean? She
yeah,
was the good guy. To turn her into, she was the equivalent to Jon Snow. You know,
yeah. And if
she
she's
was,
going to be bad, they needed to lay the foundation for that much sooner than they
I
did.
know. I know. And there were multiple things that happened over that storyline that pissed me off. But if I had to make one major change, I'd actually make an addition instead. I would make Bran, have bad intentions later on and have Jon Snow have to kind of straighten him out from the Night's Watch, and have
Okay.
that and have Sansa and Arya and John kind of have to team up against Bran because Bran's using his powers for bad, you know, and
Yeah.
that's what I think is kind of logically going to happen because he's already shown that he could be pretty deceptive, like so.
Yeah. I think that they See, Bran seemed like he might become a bad character at some point, like because he has that power. But I also thought Jon Snow should have been a much darker and different character after he died.
Yeah,
He
he should have
wasn't
been
he wasn't
dark.
different at all.
Being
He was the same
being brought
guy.
up as the bastard too. Like at the same
Yeah.
time, he should be dark and pissed, and and
Yeah,
bothered.
because in the books, Catelyn Stark comes back to life and she's really bad.
Yeah,
She's evil,
Lady
basically.
Stoneheart. Yeah,
Yeah, Lady Stoneheart. I mean, I
and
don't know if she's evil, but she's definitely not a good person.
she's out for vengeance for her family.
Yeah.
You know, and she's even very against Brienne of Tarth.
Yeah, well, that's part of the big thing in the books that never happened in the show
Yeah,
was that she wants Jamie Lannister and she's trying to get to him through her.
yeah. And that's another part like that would be really interesting to see, and in the books.
Another thing I would change is Jamie's redemption. We never got that, and it seemed like they were building towards that.
I
And then in
know.
the end, he just falls in love with his sister again, and they die together. It was so terrible, just
Yeah, that,
awful.
and even the same thing with the Hound. Like the
Same thing
way
with the
he
Hound.
went
Yeah,
down. It was almost more like it was his choice, but
yeah,
it was Jamie's choice too. They did the same kind of thing. They both took a hit at the end, and we're both like, we're going down. Whatever, who cares?
yeah. It was like they thought they were being clever with the Hound and his brother and Jamie and Cersei, like the siblings dying at the same time. They
Yeah.
thought that was like
Meanwhile, they were
synergy.
being more predictable than anything.
Yeah.
Like yeah, I mean, taking the story out of George's hands for the last season was a really bad idea. They should have had
Yeah,
him.
and they rushed it so much. I
Uh,
mean, the show could still be going, honestly.
why
Like,
would why would they want to stop it? Unless it became too expensive for all the actors?
well,
And
it
that's
was really expensive, but I think it was because the writers they wanted to go on to do a Star Wars movie that never happened. So it's like they rushed to get Game of Thrones done so they could go do this Star Wars movie that never got made. So it's like, it was so pointless. It's
yeah.
just, and I feel like the last couple seasons were really like a fuck you to the fans in a lot of ways. Like,
I feel like, especially after reading the books and loving the books for what they were and the characters that were in there and kind of that atmosphere that the books laid, like the show just kind of it after season 4, it really lost it. It
yeah,
really
well,
lost
see,
it.
yeah, like season 5 is like where they run out of book material.
Yeah.
So, after that, you could tell it's such a big difference.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a huge difference in writing, and it brings me to a very good lesson and point. Focus on what you're doing, not what you're going to be doing. Like
Yeah.
if you're really working on a show, focus on that. Don't focus on like Star Wars project that you might do someday that might not even happen.
Yeah.
That's a very valuable lesson. You could take that, and do what you
Yeah,
will.
exactly. It's like they were looking for their next big nut, like
Yep.
their big money bag that they were going to get, and they,
Like a squirrel looking for a nut. Meanwhile, it's got one right in front of it. It's
yeah,
looking for another
exactly.
nut up in a tree.
You got the biggest money making show ever.
Ever in the history of mankind, and you're looking for something else.
Yeah,
Okay, whatever. you know, Always on to the next bigger, better thing.
yeah.
But
And if you're doing Game of Thrones, you should be committed to sticking the landing because that's so important. Because I feel like the show's legacy has been hurt because
yeah.
the ending is so poor.
Oh,
You
dude,
know?
it's been irreparably hurt too.
Yeah.
Because now and
I
now,
think it's even
like,
hurt. It's even hurt the books. I
yep.
you know I think George R. R. Martin is wondering what he's supposed to do now because the ending was so bad. Like,
Yeah, but at the same time, it blew up into such a phenomenon.
yeah,
Like that like who was expecting that? Like
yeah. Now he's got the House of the Dragon money coming in and all that stuff. So it's almost like he doesn't even need to finish it.
yeah, and really they have 100 different stories that would be more interesting than the story in Game of Thrones. When they started laying down the history of like the House Targaryen, that's what like the House of the Dragon, like they made the show out of, is
Yeah,
basically the direction I would have said that they had to go in too. I would have said like you got to make a show about the Targaryens now and show like Like that
Yeah, and
actually would be if I was in charge, that'd be what I say. Because like what's
yeah,
his
and they had
name?
the balls to do time jumps, which
Yes,
Game of Thrones really didn't have, you know,
I know, and
and they
that was
probably
great.
should have.
That yeah, like I actually really liked in the House of the Dragon, the actor that plays her uncle. I can't remember the main. What's his name, man?
Uh,
He was the guy from Morbius too.
you talking about the guy who was the Hand of the King?
Uh, yeah, I think he eventually becomes Hand of the King. Yeah, but not
Okay,
at first. He was like
it's been a while since I watched it. I don't remember as much.
he's the brother.
And
He was phenomenal. He was really a great actor, and he looked like the Targaryen part. He was the one that was in Mobius, or
oh yeah, yeah, you talking about
with the dance. He does that crazy dance in that scene.
yes, exactly. He's Matt Smith, right?
Yeah,
He plays the brother, and
I can't
he's
remember
kind
his
of
name.
evil sometimes, and he's good some other times.
Yeah,
He's a really cool character. Yeah,
he's a really cool character, but he's yeah, he's dangerous and kind of scary. You know,
yeah,
like
yeah. He's
but stuff.
really great. I liked him a lot,
Yeah,
and
he
I wasn't
reminds
sure
me of
about him, and I
Jamie.
didn't think that he could be that scary. But yeah,
He
he's good.
reminds me of Jamie with a little bit of like the mountain, like a little
Yeah,
bit of the craziness of like the mountain's
yeah,
viciousness, like
yeah. And great thing about that show is that there's more dragons.
yeah.
You know,
How
and they actually look different. In Game of Thrones, they have different colors, but in the House of the Dragon, there's like different designs to the dragons. Like some of
yeah.
them have longer necks, and it's
Uh-huh.
just I like that. I like that there's like different body types for the dragons.
I couldn't believe the end of that the House of the Dragon show. Do you
Yeah,
remember?
that's a great way to end it.
That was nuts, man. The kid with
Yeah,
the one eye was chasing the other kid on the dragon,
yeah,
and I think he
yeah. I
killed
like that
him.
that he's supposed to be a kid, but he seems like a total adult.
Yeah, he's like a
He's like
25-year-old
40.
man. Like Clark Kent in Smallville is like
Yeah,
35 years old
exactly.
with a backpack on. Hey guys.
Yeah, but I like that character because he seems so bad. Like he just seems like such a bad dude.
Yeah, yeah. And at times like that, medieval time in a fantasy setting with all the magic and bullshit and stuff like that, there would be piece of shit characters like that for sure, man.
I think most of them would be pieces of shit. That like Game of Thrones, like most of the characters are either anti-heroes or just straight up bad. You know,
Yeah. And the only good characters
they
die.
die. Yeah, exactly. Unless we're talking about Jon Snow, but even he died.
He died.
Like
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, he was just as dumb as Stark, though. Like they
yeah,
were both kind of blissfully ignorant. You know.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
But
true.
yeah, I'm looking forward to. Do they have another season of that planned? Because
Yeah, they do. They do. I
good.
think it's coming out next year.
That should be good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for good stuff to come on HBO because they normally put some good shows or movies, and lately there really hasn't been all that much besides the Barbie movie, and I enjoyed that, but that's not my particular cup of tea, so to speak.
Yeah, I haven't seen much of what they're doing on HBO yet. Or recently, I haven't seen much.
Yeah, yeah, me neither.
Because
But yeah, I'll
you
be
mentioned Reacher, but that's our Amazon. So, uh,
and Netflix. I mentioned Netflix before. Have you seen any shows on Netflix that you could think of?
no, I'm not. I canceled Netflix. I don't even have it anymore.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow. Wow, that's
yeah. Because I just feel like I need to eliminate one every once in a while because I got too many. I got
yeah.
Paramount Plus. I got Amazon. I got HBO. I
I
got
got
Hulu.
I got Hoobly, I got Tubely, I got Noobly, I got them all. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know. I don't even know the names of the services I'm watching on nowadays. You know what I mean? Like there are too many of them, and I too many memberships that I got to worry about now. Where each month it's like the amount coming out of my bank is laughable. It's
yeah.
like
It's like you might as well have cable again.
why
It's
is
like it's
everything got to be a membership? Can't I sign up for one membership that has all these things included? You know?
Yeah, and you're also signing up for eventual price increases. Like everything you're gonna pay for now is gonna be like $2 or $3 more in the next year or so.
Not
It's,
just
it's
that. if you're sharing any of your things, they're eliminating the sharing capabilities too. So you can't do
Yeah,
that.
they did that with Netflix too. So it's like you can't even share it.
Well, at
So
least YouTube is free. Hey, YouTube, you're doing good.
YouTube is free, but YouTube is also like ads galore. Like there's so many ads on YouTube if you're not paying for it.
Yeah, well, you know what? You earned those ads. You deserve to have those ads on there, Edward. You know?
Don't though. I don't get any money for it.
Well, you will, once you get over the right amount of
Hopefully. Hopefully.
well, I mean, I started on that singing app or whatever where I sing
Yeah.
songs, and
Karaoke.
I'm only 2 weeks in, and I got almost 1,000 followers on that. But I think most of them,
Nice.
I think they're all bots, you know. So
Probably.
yeah. Either way,
And your information is being sold.
yeah. I don't care. I'm just a singer, you know. If they want to
I'm
steal
just
my
a singer.
information, it's not worth anything to me. Good luck
Yeah.
with it, jerks.
Yeah. It's like when you sign up for a site where you're like, you better make sure your password is secure. And it's like, well, I don't care what's on this site anyway. Like, I don't care. But is somebody
I know.
going to watch my Hulu?
I got a message from somebody one time. It's like, we have a recording of you watching pornography, masturbating. And I'm like, really? When did you record that? And they're like, just before. And I'm like, wrong. I wasn't even doing it. Liar. Yeah. And
But
then I got it
you're
again.
kind of admitting that you do it. So it's
I
like,
got
we'll
another
get you
message
eventually.
from another person that's like, same thing. We have a video of you on your phone watching pornography, masturbating. And it's like, if you don't pay this amount of money, something really bad's going to happen to you. And I'm like what? People see me masturbating and then realize that somebody stole a video from my phone? Okay, great. Enjoy. Well, knock yourself out, you fucking loser.
That's weird. I've never gotten a message like that. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
I have.
and what you should say is like, no, I put tape over the camera.
No, I don't care that much that I'm like,
Yeah,
go,
like
you know, like,
even if you post that on like X videos, like who's gonna watch?
I mean,
No
I do,
offense, but
no, but I take very much offense to that. This is worth money. See that smile?
yeah,
Yeah,
but we're giving it away for free right now.
I know. That's at least $1.99, $1.99. And then if you want to see the rest of it, that's like another 50 cents at least.
It's only 50 cents.
Hey, I'm not trying to sell myself short, but I am being real. So
I got you.
yeah. But either way, yeah, I think we can wrap up on that note. We had probably a longer episode than either of us intended.
Yeah, this one feels like a long one.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how long it's been, but it's been
I'm
a while.
sorry about that. I just couldn't stop talking. I'm a talkative
Yeah, we
bastard.
get going. It's tough. It's not easy to keep it short.
Not easy to stay on topic either when I jump around throwing all kinds
No,
of
I feel like we
stuff.
bounced around a lot. We started with video games, and we really bounced around.
We bounced around too much this week. But you know what? That's good. It's been a little while. We had the holidays to get out of our system. You
Yeah,
know?
it's been a couple weeks since we had a show, so
Yeah. And before that goes, how were your holidays? Did you have a good Christmas and New Year's?
yeah, it was pretty good. Nothing crazy happened, which is always good, and nothing too exciting. So, how about you? How was yours?
It was good. Yeah. Saw family and everybody was pretty good. Kids these days are a little spoiled, but
Oh,
there's not
your
much.
nephews.
Yeah, not much to be done about that. Like they're
That's
kind
what
of
happens to your kids.
it's not really about their behavior. They're just they get cranky,
Yeah,
and stuff, and it
yeah,
gets a little tough to deal with. But they're kids.
yeah. I know
Whatever.
how it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you saw your family on Christmas too, or
I saw some of them. We really just went out to eat on Christmas Eve. That's the main thing we did.
oh, nice,
Yeah. So,
cool. Yeah, that's
yeah,
like the Italian thing. Well, I mean, I know that it's probably not the Italian side of your family, but the Italian thing is to celebrate a little bit more on Christmas Eve with seven fishes.
yeah. Well, the reason it was Christmas Eve is because that was when we could get together and the place was open. Like most
Place,
places
yeah.
are closed on Christmas Day. So
Where'd you end up going, if you don't
we
mind
went
me?
to the Miller Ridge Inn
Oh yeah,
restaurant.
I
Yeah,
love that place. Yeah, I
yeah,
talked
it's
to you on
nice, and
Christmas
the
a little
food
bit.
was awesome. So it
Oh
was
yeah,
worth it. Yeah.
That place is I feel like when I go there, it's like almost like a reenactment center. Like, like it's like an old village and that like
Yeah, because they and
shops.
Christmas time it's really nice because it's all decked out in Christmas stuff. So
I
yeah,
saw
it
that
was it
big
was
Grinch
nice.
without an arm that you took a picture of.
Yeah, I posted that. Yeah, there was the Grinch with a missing arm. He
Yeah. Oh,
he
that's
broke into the wrong house.
good. Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you had a good Christmas and a happy New
Yeah,
Year's.
glad you had
Uh,
one too.
yeah. And we'll probably be doing another show next week. And probably be doing another either Tommy Thursday or Tommy Tuesday show, depending on what I feel like doing. I don't
Yeah,
know. I definitely have some topics that I wanted to talk about, and just get off my mind, and not so much for the interaction, rather than my selfish reasons of unburdening my mind.
right.
you
Okay.
know, but
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I appreciate all our fans. I'm not trying to say I don't appreciate fans. I love the fans. It's just I don't normally live for the interaction, like I love to get back to people that message us, but I've been getting thousands of messages a day from scammers lately, so I've been
you
bogged
got to
down.
focus on the real people. That's what you
I'm,
need.
I'm
Real
trying, but
people.
it's so hard to figure out who's real when they all say hello, 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 and then you're just like, hi, hi, hi,
That's
hi,
easy.
and then just wait to see who gets back with like a real response, and then like I don't know who's real or not. It gets tough. So
I
are
don't
you?
know. You have more of a scammer problem than I think anyone else on the planet.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of my thing.
But you also kind of invite them. So
Yeah. Well, I enjoy it. I love it so much. I love seeing which direction they're trying to scam me from now. I want to see
how
what.
creative can they get?
Dude, you should see the shit they're trying to sell me. And not only that, like sell me. There are so many people saying I won contests. Ed, if I won any of these contests, I'd be a millionaire right now because one of them said I won $5 million and a Ferrari. One said I won $1 million and a Ford F-150. One said I won $50,000 and a Mercedes. I'm not lying; these are all real.
I
I
like
can
how the
show you.
prizes get worse and worse.
I could show you Bob Seger sending me a message with a bunch of pictures of Mercedes saying, I bought you this for Christmas. And like, Bob, you're full of shit. All right.
The next
Listen,
one's gonna be like, you won 10 Big Macs. And it's
hold him. Bob, you better stop pulling your night moves on me because. And then I said another song. Hold on. It was clever. And like, because I got the fire inside me, and then I tried to segue it into something else, and I was like, about what's that other song that he's got? Turn the page, yeah, and I ended it with turn the page, and I was like, and then I'll just turn the page, I just said a bunch of his songs, and I thought it was really clever, but it was unappreciated by the scammer, obviously.
no, they just want your money.
I know they don't like any of my jokes. They don't like any of them. That's
Yeah,
the
well,
sad
just don't give anybody your social security number or anything like that.
What are they going to do with it? Be more social than me? Yeah, right. Good luck with that.
Uh, yeah, because it's social, but it's also security. So
I got my own security, bro. I'm friends with Jesus. Well, at least
he's
according
got
to my church.
superpowers.
I asked a priest, I was like, yo, priest, Jesus my boy or what? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, I lied later. And then I left. And that was my church for the week.
Nice.
And that was 10 years ago.
And it
I
lasted.
made all that
The
up.
church for the week lasted you this long.
Hey, it's been a long week. I don't know how long, what planet I'm on, and what the time change. Like mentally, I'm on like Jupiter right now. A year takes like, I don't know, 700 Earth years or something. I don't know.
I don't know if that's right.
Probably not. Probably not. I'm not claiming to be a scientist at this moment, but all right. Anyway, we've had a fun
We should
conversation.
wrap this up.
Yeah, I think the wrap up is becoming an activity now. Now
I
we
know, right? We
talk
could do a
about this.
whole show that's a wrap up.
Yeah, I think that should be our next episode. It'll be a wrap up of this episode, and then after that, we'll wrap up that episode, and then so on and so forth. You know,
That makes perfect sense. Why not?
and we're wrapping them until next Christmas, and then we unwrap them.
Because it's Christmas, right?
You get it? Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, on that note,
Yeah.
great seeing everybody. Oh well,
Yeah.
really, just seeing you and me, Edward. But yeah, I hope to get comments in the YouTube section.
Yeah. Leave a comment and give us suggestions what you'd like us to cover in future episodes. Maybe we'll think about it and do that. So and we appreciate the comments as always.
I appreciate any comments, even constructive criticism and or insults. I take them all. In fact, mostly insults I take.
As long as it's not from a scammer.
As long as it's not from a scammer or my dad. Because if you're my dad insulting me, I'm probably going to take it personally.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
get it.
I don't have to worry about that on YouTube. I don't think, because as far as I know, I don't have any fathers that I'm not aware of. You know,
I would think you only have one.
do I? I don't know how this works, man.
Uh,
All right.
yeah.
We will see you next week, hopefully.
All right.
I'm hoping to see you on Baldur's Gate pretty soon, and maybe Draco and your
Yeah, maybe we can link up. Farts is
right?
my character. Yeah.
Yeah, Draco's my character. We can join up, and anybody that wants to join us on Xbox, check us out. I am Brown Clown 44402. Brown Clown 44402, and
Right.
Ed,
And
you could share yours.
I'm
Like it.
no, I'm Jim Kirk 1701 with spaces in between every word and the numbers. So
Oh,
yeah.
you know what? I'll post our things in the comment once we post this on YouTube.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'll leave something there too. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, and I'll even leave the tag for my my Instagram and TikTok,
Yeah.
which I'm kind of active on those, but I'm followed by only scammers, not really any of my fans or friends on there
Because
yet.
I'm not even on TikTok, so I wouldn't be following you.
Yeah, and like I was a singer, but I used to do that with a band out like at live locations. So now I'm kind of doing it digitally a little bit. And if you enjoy that, check it out. I post videos every now and then, but I'm not trying to shove it in anybody's face. So
All right, cool.
yeah. All right. Well, until next time, Edward, I tip my
All
cap
right.
to you.
Yep. Take it easy.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thank you.